بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. We welcome all of you to another gathering of the Black Imams Roundtable. Please share this particular session. Inshallah, we plan on covering a lot of material tonight. So I would request of you to do several things. Number one, if everyone would make a sincere intention that everything you're going to do tonight in terms of listening and typing and learning and benefiting and sharing benefit, that you do it seeking to draw close to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in status. In addition to that, that you intend to seek the reward from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala in everything you do, and to earn His acceptance, and to seek Him Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We're going to really dig deep tonight, because this topic, Wahhabism Unveiled, I don't want these guys in my mix. They're late. They wait.
Nah.
This is
Now
my
you tried
show
to go
tonight.
on without us. You switched up on us.
Supposed to start at a certain time. All of you double your fees.
No, you
I
took
was
the
here 10 minutes early. You switched up.
you took the advance money, man, and did something with it.
Yeah, you took the per diem.
So alhamdulillah, as you see, I am joined with my comrades in the struggle. Y'all thought I was by myself. Wrong, right? Even when they ain't around, they're around. So don't get no bright ideas if you see me rolling dolo. I always got a team with me. Right? So, inshallah, tabaraka wa ta'ala, tonight, we're going to touch some issues that related to what we talked about last week, but also I want to touch an issue that has come up from the side of Al-Wahhabiyya, and that is an issue of the creed, which to me is one of the most clearest issues to make the point that we need to clarify these issues, because something is right and something is wrong. And of course, it is our opinion that Al-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya are right and Al-Wahhabiyya, who changed their names to Salafiyya, to Athariyya, and some Hanabila, who are really Wahhabi. Those Wahhabi people are wrong in their creed. And this is not an apologetic session. We don't apologize for telling the truth. Leave that for the intellectuals. They are tap dancers who have to apologize. We're not them. So let the intellectuals do that. If you want someone to say, I'm sorry, after they tell you the truth, let it be them. We ain't them. We're not them. Don't want to be them, have no interest to be them. They can write all the papers and books they want. We're not interested. All right, that was just my little rant. And you intellectuals know who I'm talking about. But that's not the point here. The point here is that Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah has the correct creed, and those who oppose Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah have the incorrect creed. So tonight, we're going to identify those things, inshallah ta'ala. So as you share, please share, because the message is getting out. It's getting out. It's effective. It's working. People are learning. And the most important aspect of this is that we are doing the work of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, conveying his belief, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and not fearing the blame of those who blame or the criticism of those who criticize. And inshallah, as people learn and benefit, there will come a time when these discussions will not be needed. But this ain't the time. Right now, we have to have the discussion. So please share, please share, please share. That is my opening. I will give it to my brothers while I go get prepared quickly to go into some details of some points. But quickly, before I do that, let me remind you of the points that we left. So tonight, we want to take on the point Salafi versus Wahhabi and the doctrine of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab versus as-Salaf as-Salih. So these are two, and we had a list of 10, and we should add another one, but I can bring that one in those second and third points. So inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala, tonight you're going to learn the difference and how to detect a Wahhabi, no matter what costume he got on and what name he uses. You're going to be able to identify that that person is a Wahhabi. And when I say Wahhabi, I mean he's a follower of the same creed as Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his followers. And we're going to identify some erroneous beliefs of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. So, inshallah, I hope that you have your pens and paper, and we're going to do it the way we do it, not the way people want us to do it. If those want us to do it your way, why don't you do your way? That would be great. Speak out loudly, speak clearly, use your platform, and explain the truth the same way in your tone, and we would appreciate it. So, but we're going to do it our way. May Allah reward you. May Allah increase you. And I'll pass the mic to my brothers in faith. Inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. Assalamu alaikum.
You going next, Imam Naeem?
Age before beauty. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din wa ba'd. So I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's program. the Black Imams Roundtable, and continuing our discussion. Wahhabism Unveiled. This is part 2. And inshallah, we're continuing from last week as we have one of our well-wishers who who actually tagged Imam Amin in it. And as I mentioned last week, well, before all that, make sure we like and share this session, to get around, get in that algorithm. And make sure that you donate, inshallah ta'ala. The last couple of weeks, particularly last week, we haven't been hitting our goal, that all of us have agreed that we are able to maintain a goal of, contributing at least $10. And, if 100 of us do that, then we reach our goal of $500, which is a modest goal to reach for us, inshallah ta'ala. And we can definitely do more, but we understand our people. So we try to make it, easy, inshallah, on our people. And so if everybody puts a drop in the bucket gets filled with ease, And some of us, we got glasses, we got bottles that we could pour in. Some of us are owners of buckets, So just consider that and think about the reward and the ajr that you get with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as he would double and multiply your reward both in this life and the next life, by the minimum effort, that we are requesting people to do, inshallah. And so hopefully by the midway point that we should at least try to have that goal. So if you're just coming in, inshallah, or if you review this later, for people who may review this later, please be sure to make a donation, inshallah ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and increase your provision. Amin. So continuing from last week. And what were the questions? I just forgot just that fast. What we're covering tonight. It says Salafism. What is it?
Wahhabism Unveiled. Remember last week?
No, the 2 questions said we're going to cover the 2 points.
Who are the Wahhabiyya and the Salafiyya?
I think that's it.
And Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab versus the Salaf. My notes may be kind of off. I think Zakaria, she put it up earlier.
Your notes ain't off, genius. Your notes are never off. What are you talking about, man? Okay, mashallah.
Salafiyya, Wahhabiyya, who are they? And Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, doctrine versus Salaf Salih.
Okay, how you can tell. Okay, mashallah. Okay. So we continue from last week as we had one of our sincere well-wishers who mentioned Imam Amin by name and played a clip of a video, inshallah. And he got a lot of feedback on the post. And since then, he took one of my posts that I made on Facebook last week and he shared it on his page. And then there was a lot of commentary and some going back and forth. So I actually got on there and commented. And, I told him that was interesting, when you were invited to come and discuss the issue, which is a sign of Wahhabism. They, when they press to discuss the issues, they slide away, but you can go on your page and share one of my posts and, get all this commentary. And then we get people who are saying, because the brother called me an ignoramus, right? Okay. Call me an ignoramus. And then, they had people on their posts, may Allah guide him or break his back, as if when you make dua to Allah who's subhanahu wa ta'ala is either or. Almost like they're compelling Allah who's subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're trying to compel the Lord of the worlds to either guide somebody or break their back. When Allah who's subhanahu wa ta'ala, his mercy is as vast as the heavens and the earth, right? So so let me see what she put. Okay. So the second point is Salafiyya, Wahhabiyya, who are they? And Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab's doctrine versus the Salaf Salih. Okay, so as Imam Amin mentioned, my introduction will be short because I only really wanted to cover Imam Amin is going to go in and also Imam Naeem. But as reviewing some things last week and getting some feedback and got a lot of awesome feedback, and also discussing with some other people, some of the points. And one of the things that they raised, which I thought was very important, is that sometimes we can be more effective, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq in the audience that we're reaching, because sometimes here, and no, not a slight to anybody, because we love you all. You all are the ones who tune in every week. But we're basically, talking to the choir. And then we do get some new people here every now and again. And we get a lot of people who may watch this later. And we get a lot of people who watch this program that don't comment or like, or maybe not even share, but they've been following us for quite some time. And so I want to shout out to them. A brother called me today about an hour or so before I got on. And he said, and they all say they really appreciate the work that we're doing and the voice that we're raising, to clarify these issues. And to be clear, as you all know, it's really about clarification. It's really not about arguing or going back and forth. It's really about putting these issues on the table, okay? And, that we hope that we right and we could be wrong, and we hope that they're right and we know that they're wrong, And so discussing these issues, pulling out the text and going back and forth and having a dialogue, which they like to call debating. And they say debating is not from the Sunnah, or they call it argumentation. No, it's not argumentation. This is about clarifying issues of the religion that we all follow. And somewhere down the line, somebody's getting it wrong. Somebody's distorting something. Somebody's messing something up. And we need to know who it is, And so if we can get down to the root of the matter, inshallah ta'ala. So really thinking about, clarifying these issues and identifying the methodology. So this week, and I'm pretty sure the next couple of weeks, that's what we'll be doing. So like I said, my intro will be very short, inshallah. But last week we were talking about the Sufis and the Asharis, and the Imam Amin has done a couple of programs since then. And Imam Naeem did a video. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. It was called what is it called? The Kumbaya. What was the name of it, Imam?
Where are all the Kumbayaians?
Yeah, the Kubayaians. Can want to sing, and can we all just get along, right? And the hard answer is no, But we definitely can have discussions, and have clarifications, and that's really our goal, And we invite people to come on the platform, or even in private. We mentioned last week that we do have the discussion in private with some people who are willing. A lot of people are not willing. They're just willing to, want to influence their audience, because some of these discussions are going to have to be extended beyond, us on a Tuesday evening, and also with key people to get these things clear if they're willing, if they're willing to be open to, objective truth, then they should be willing. And also if they're, if they believe that their doctrine is right, as they claim that everyone else is wrong upon bid'ah, committing shirk, and then it should. Then if you want the truth, then the truth will defend itself. You're just a vehicle of it. The truth is the truth, and and if you believe what you're following is the absolute truth, the way you push it, then it should be no reason to propagate it, right? And so we discussed this issue, but one of my things was I had a couple of notes here. So one of the things, a practical application in countering Wahhabism, and one of the things that I put here was that one of the things that we need to do is that we highlight the methodology over the personalities. Highlight the methodology over the personalities, and then we highlight the personalities according to the methodology. And so, as Imam Amin mentioned before he signed off, that we have to name names sometimes, and we have to know names. We have to know dates. We have to know Hijri dates. We have to know the time that people lived in and the time that they passed. So that way we know who are the Salafus Salih, and who are the Salafiyah, because they're two different things. Who are the Salafus Salih and who are the Salafiyah, right? And so we know that the righteous Salaf of the Salafus Salih is according to the Hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, Khairun nas qarni, thumma ladina yalunahum, thumma ladina yalunahum. That he said that the best of the creation and the best of people are my generation, right? Or my generation, and those who follow them, and then those who follow them. And so this is a strong proof about the righteous Salaf being the predecessors or the ones who preceded you. And also a Salaf could also mean someone who like immediately precedes you, like someone who's older than you is a Salaf for you. You know, someone who is a generation ahead of you is a Salaf for you. But when we're talking about the deen, we're talking about the righteous predecessors and then everyone who follows them in righteousness. And we often say this in the dua, وَمَنَ تَبِعَهُمْ بِإِحْسَانِ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ, and those who follow them in righteousness or in goodness until the last day. And so this is also an indication that the Salafus Salih is the majority. I mean, the Salafus Salih, the people who follow them, make up the majority, which is Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right? And that's a term that, you know, we have to make clear, because, you know, these people use the same terms that we use, but they have different meanings. They say Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and then they say, you know, they relate a narration that's attributed to Ibn Mas'ud. He said to follow the truth if there's only one person or something like that, right? I think that's how the narration goes. But that's a narration that shows that if it ever came to that, which is not likely, so it's mentioned in two ends of the spectrum, something that is not likely to happen. But if it was, that's what you would do. I don't know the term that you call it, you know. It's like the hadith that says, "Wa qul al-haq walau bi nafsik," and speak the truth even if it's against yourself. What that means is most of the time we won't speak the truth against ourselves. But if it came to that, how important the truth is, then you should speak it. How important is following the Jama'ah is, even if it was one person following the truth, you will follow that one person. But those things are not likely to occur. So Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah makes up the majority, right? And so, you know, many times people who are following a Salafi or Wahhabiyya, they are the group that excludes themselves from the majority. They withdraw from the majority, and they tell themselves that they are the ones who are rightly guided as opposed to everyone else. And this is a trait of Wahhabiyya, you know. And we mentioned some of these things before and throughout our, you know, discourses, that the Wahhabiyya, you know, in their doctrine says that Ibn Abdul Wahhab said in his own book that no one knew Tawheed before, that none of his teachers knew Tawheed before him. You talking about a period of 600 years, right? He said that no one knew Tawheed before his time. And you talking about all of the great ulama that were in Mecca and Medina and Sham and all of those regions, you know, great ulama, you know, in Syria and Damascus and all of those areas that produce great ulama in the eastern countries, you know, none of them understood Tawheed. The most important thing in Islam is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and none of them knew what it was, you know. So the absurdity of that alone is enough to just really not even pay attention to it. But really knowing the methodology of the Wahhabis, right? And another trait that they have is, you know, isolating texts and distorting them and changing the meaning, right? And so when we highlight this methodology, then you can highlight the personalities who do it. And one of the things that we see now is that they don't call themselves Wahhabis nowadays. Many of them, they call themselves Atharis, or they say they followers. They say they follow the Imam of Ahlus Sunnah. It was Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, and they say they follow him in the narrations, but they don't follow the Hanbali school. They say they follow him because he was the Imam of Ahlus Sunnah, but they don't follow the school of the fiqh of the Hanabila, right? And so you have them even at odds with the school. And I think there's a book that shows, I forget the name of it, but it's something that's like showing the ikhtilaf of modern day Salafi scholars and how they differed with the Hanbali school in matters of fiqh, right? And so in order to do that, or in any school, you have to be on the level, you know. As the saying goes, it is, you know, iron sharpens iron, or steel sharpens steel. You have to be a piece of steel to sharpen another piece of steel. And unfortunately, these modern day scholars are not even a nail compared to the pieces of steel of the Hanbali school, and particularly Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, right? And so that's part of their methodology, to withdraw, to say that they can reform the text and also correct Islam because it needs reformation, right? And also another trait that, you know, a person is Wahhabi is taking matters into their own hands, right? And so when we see, you study the history objectively, you know, and I think I mentioned this, I asked this question last week, and it was one of the questions that I had posed, on a project that I'm working on. Where did Ibn Abdul Wahhab get the authority to say that he needed to purify the land from the polytheists? You know, because if you're in a Muslim country and there's an authority there, and there was an authority there, you have to, you know, basically in our time, you have to go to the police. You know, if somebody's doing something on your block and you are a resident of your area, and they, you know, somebody's cutting up, you just can't go out there and be like, hey, y'all better stop all that. You got to go to the police. You got to go to the authorities. Why didn't he go to the authorities and he went to someone else to make a pact? Ibn Saud, right? Why didn't he go to the authority that was there? So, and you see this trait nowadays, especially the Wahhabis, and they call themselves Salafis. And some of you might not remember, many of you do, about all of these Masjid takeovers in the early to mid 90s, you know, secretly meeting, consulting to overthrow the leadership, you know, conspiring to belittle them, undermine them, which is all traits of the Khawarij, to overthrow leadership because you feel like that they're not just. This is the trait of the Khawarij. We mentioned this last week or the week before, when those Khawarij, when they were described, and they had a meeting with Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, and they held up the Quran, and they said, we judge by the book of Allah, right? So basically, the people who are in charge, if they're at odds with them, they feel like that they can overthrow them. And I can tell you personally, because I was a part of some of those things where the Masjid, because I used to run with them back then, you know, Masjid takeovers. Even the Masjid that I'm the Imam of now, it was part of that. All we did was fight against the elders, tell them that they were wrong, they weren't on the Sunnah, all of this, and everything short of calling them kuffar. And so, and I mentioned this last week, one of the traits is this exaggeration and bid'ah and shirk. When you find people exaggerating in this topic of bid'ah and shirk and making this rigid stance, that's a clear sign of, you know, being a Wahhabi, as opposed to following the Salafus Salih, where they weren't as rigid with issues of bid'ah. And they considered bid'ah to be in issues of theology, meaning that someone who brought an issue of belief that was never heard of before, like the Qadariyah and the Jahmiyyah and the Mu'tazila. These were bid'ahs in belief. Those were the kind of the people that were considered Ahlul Bid'ah. And you hear this term from Wahhabis nowadays. Don't sit with Ahlul Bid'ah. One of them said, don't beautify their ranks with your presence, and calling them Ahlul Bid'ah because they don't follow the shallow and narrow understanding that they have been promoted for the last couple of decades, right? And so that's another sign of Wahhabis, you know, considering people who are non-believers better than believers who they disagree with. You know, this is a big doctrine of the Wahhabi, the Wahhabi methodology, right? This, you know, during the time of Abdullah ibn Saud, when they developed the third Saudi state, and as many of you know, they went through 3 stages of the Saudi state, or established in Saudi Arabia, was current day Saudi Arabia. In the third state, Ibn Saud had Abdullah ibn Saud has sided with the British. He sided with the British and got guns and got funding, and so he helped them to overthrow the Ottoman Empire, because the Ottoman Empire was busy fighting off the kuffar and all the English invaders like France and all these people who were trying to lock in the area. And so he, instead of him, and they made a call to fight against the true disbelievers, right? The true enemies of Islam who were trying to take over the land. Abdulaziz ibn Saud sided with the British, and they gave him a stipend every month, and they kept him close, and they made him, you know, they told him that he could be king, right? And that's what happened with the guns and the backing of the British. They were able to establish the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1932, and in 1924 was when the Khilafah of the Ottoman Empire was finished, right? And so this is a trait today. And they also believe that Muslim countries like Yemen, Sudan, Egypt, Syria, these were lands of the Mushrikeen. And we mentioned this in one discourse, where in one of Ibn Abdul Wahhab's books, I think it was grandson, that they told their people not to go to the land of disbelievers, and they said that the land of disbelievers were where the Muslims were for centuries. In some of these countries, Islam flourished when it wasn't really flourishing in Mecca and Medina. Mecca and Medina really had came a point where it was like, where the rights of Hajj and Umrah were always met, and they still had scholarship there. But in other places, when Islam spread to the east and west, this is where we got the tradition of Islam, the African tradition, in Yemen, in China, and Eastern Europe, and Russia. Islam started flourishing, and it was these people who were non-Arabs that helped to preserve the religion, right? As a matter of fact, I believe that none of the Hadith scholars of the major collections are Arabs, if I'm not mistaken, and so we see all of these traits of the Wahhabis, and one of the things that we have to do as a collective is really be able to study these points and highlight them, because I notice a trend that many times the laymen, they're afraid to explore with their intellect. And so a lot of them is this term that we have, default Wahhabis, one thing I was thinking about, because people sometimes they criticize us, we talking about it because it's divisive, or no, that's not why we're talking about it, because it's divisive. It's because it needs clarity. I'm right in the middle of it. Like the masjid in our area, the name of the masjid is Masjid Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. It's 3 masjids in this city of Camden, right? Our masjid, the Quba School and Islamic Center, the pioneers of Masjid Nur, our elders, the War of Deen community, and the other masjid is Masjid Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, right? And that wasn't the name before, because when I was with them, we had agreed to call it the Islamic Center of Camden. They won't tell this history though, but when I was with them, we would decide on the name. I came up with the name, but because I'm off the minhaj and I'm a person of innovation, they won't even tell the truth, right? I came up with the name, and I patterned after actually Imam Abu Muslim, may Allah preserve him, when he named it Masjid Ahl Sunnah, but the technical name is the Islamic Center of America. Masjid Ahl Sunnah is called the Islamic Center of America. And I remember when we heard that name, when they was developing, right? I was like, man, that's bold. He's in Newark, New Jersey, or East Orange, and he called it the Islamic Center of America, as if there's no other American Islamic centers. Like, that's the one. That's how bold this movement was. Like, we're the only ones rightfully carrying this deen. Everybody else is a deviant, and the history with him. How he was vocal in, throwing everybody off, and everybody was following him. So we followed that pattern in Camden, and I came up with the name. Let's call it the Islamic Center of Camden. And then when they threw me off the minhaj, they just erased my history. They just hit the delete button. Right? And then they changed it to Masjid Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Right. And so thinking about this, right? Now, but if you call them Wahhabis, oh man, they'd be on fire. Don't call us Wahhabis. That's an insult to Allah's name, Al-Wahhab. Come on. You name the masjid after the man. You use all of his books. And I'm supposed to think that, that it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, but it's not a duck. Use a duck, man. Yeah, but identifying these things, really, mashallah. And then the characteristics of these people who learn that methodology. They're cold, they're not warm, they're very rigid, they call themselves sticking to the text, and they only take a group of scholars that they agree that is Sahih, right? And one of the things, as I mentioned, one of the characteristics is that you, at a time, you have to come, after you highlight the methodology, then you have to name the personalities, because one of the things they do, when we were talking about the well-wisher from last week, there was a brother who got on, and I think he knows me, and I think he's from Camden. And so he said something like, oh, yeah, Imam Faheem did study overseas. I said, well, I guess you were going long enough to know that I didn't, right? Like, I said, is overseas the only place you study? And I asked him, did he go? He said, nah. And so he started naming these personalities. And that's one of their traits, you know. In any of their talks, you know, they never really reference the Salaf, you know. And as Imam Amin was mentioning, it is important to know who the Salaf are. And we need to know, you know, from the time of those, the Khairun Nas, those 3 generations, up until this very time, we need to know who the scholars were, who were connected to another scholar with an unbroken chain. Because that's something that they are unable to do. Not only won't they do it, they are unable to do it, right? Because a lot of names they reference, you will hear they're called a scholar that's within their group. They're called them Alama. They call them Sheikh al-Islam, the Mujaddid, right? And nobody else in the Islamic world calls them these titles. And then when you look at them deeper, these are only people who went to the same school that you did. It's like somebody going to the high school with me, and he was ahead of me a few grades, and now he's Alama. But we had the same teachers. You know what I'm saying? How did you become Alama? Because you come from a certain part of the region, and I'm just a student of knowledge because I live over here, and we learned the same exact thing. We got the same exact grades from the university, you know? And so that's one of the things, you know, that whoever is within their hizb and who agrees with their methodology, you know, they are welcome, you know, they are honored. And whoever is out there outside of their group, their hizb, you know, they are ridiculed and belittled and ostracized, you know. And so we have to know these things when we see them and know a lot of these characteristics that they have are not connected back to the Salaf. And so oftentimes you'll never hear them really speaking of anybody past the time of Ibn Taymiyyah, which from the Hijri, he lived in the 8th century, or he died in the 8th century. He died in the year 728 Hijri, which is the 8th century, right? Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he died in 1206 Hijri, which is the 13th century, right? And so in between there's 400 years. And so we asked these Wahhabis, right? Can Ibn Abdul Wahhab make a direct connection to Ibn Taymiyyah, right? Can he make a direction so that he learned from a teacher who 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 learned from Ibn Taymiyyah? Can they produce a chain like that? And so one of the traits is that, you know, they favor Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim over everyone else, right? And so if you look at the history of Ibn Abdul Wahhab, this was his methodology. He read the books, and I even had an argument with this hardcore Wahhabi one time. So he said that Ibn Abdul Wahhab has a handwritten copy of Majmu' Fatawa. Majmu' Fatawa is the major book, a collection of Fatawa of Ibn Taymiyyah, right? The one that Imam Amin mentioned last week in volumes 10 and 11, that he talks favorably about Tasawwuf. And he even talks favorably about the Asharis. But he also does so. It's a range of things that he has where people who have rightly criticized him for the things, it's right in his works, right? And even if it's not in the Majmu' Fatawa, it's in his other works that he had. But the Majmu' Fatawa is his major work, right? So this brother said that Ibn Abdul Wahhab had a handwritten copy of the Majmu' Fatawa. And I said, well, what does that prove? That means that just shows that he was infatuated with him. You know what I mean? That was like the ultimate fanboy. Like, you know what I mean? He was infatuated with Ibn Taymiyyah. And if you read the Divine Lightning, one of the books that we referenced, was it last week when we get a reference of the books, or the week last week? Ibn Abdul Wahhab's brothers, Sulaiman Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he was refuting his brother using the works of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim to show his own brother, right? To show his own brother, even the stuff that they believe, you took it way too far. You claim you follow them, but this is what they're saying in their books, right? But this is what you're saying. For instance, when we talk about this topic of istighatha, that the Wahhabis consider it shirk and consider you outside of Islam if you do it, and not knowing the context of it. So Ibn Taymiyyah didn't agree with the practice, but he didn't take people outside of Islam for it. Ibn Abdul Wahhab went a step further and said the istighatha is shirk straight away. And that was the argument that we were having on this post. Not even classifying the different categories of istighatha, so there's different views about, seeking aid through someone by Allah. That's what istighatha means. It's not making dua to a person, thinking that they're going to do something for you. That's the first thing. And as Imam Naeem mentioned briefly, we have to identify terms, because what they define something or redefine something is not the actual definition of it and not the actual understanding. So istighatha is to seek the aid of creation by way of Allah, already knowing that it is Allah who sent you to this creation for the help. Because they're saying that, you can't call on nobody else but Allah. So in the story of Musa alayhi salam, and when he had the two tribes and he went to help his man, help fight, he called the man to help him, right? And the word that's used there is istighatha. He seek the aid of his clansmen, right? Or his clansmen sought the aid of him, right? And so the Wahhabis say that this is shirk straight out, right? And then in their books, one of the books is called Nawaqidul Islam, the nullifiers of Islam. And they say one of the nullifiers is to set up an intermediary between you and Allah, right? And so they're saying that it's straight out shirk. They say it's straight out shirk. And so when they say nawaqid, that's another word for takfir, taking you outside of Islam. If something nullifies your Islam, that means your Islam is not valid. That's another way of calling you a kafir. And takfir is very, very dangerous, right? And so some of these things we have to really look into. And I think in going forward, the concentration, and Imam Amin and Imam Naeem and I, we all talked about this, is really focusing on highlighting the distortions of Wahhabiyya and comparing it to the Salafus Salih, which some of the stuff we're going to cover tonight. And, knowing what it is that a person has to believe, knowing your fard ayn, and knowing the things that oppose what has been transmitted from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah by continuous change throughout the centuries, right? Continuous change. Because that's one thing they cannot produce, is a chain that goes all the way back to it. Not even to Imam Ahmed, right? Not even to Imam Ahmed. So, and so we're going to have these discussions in more detail, inshallah. So that's my opening and probably my last statement. I'm a phenomenal prop. I sit here and be quiet. I even fall asleep on you. And the other part is recognizing the assault on Muslims. It's an assault on Muslims, and they lead the disbelievers to be. And so these issues probably we will have to have a whole nother discourse talking about tabarak, istighatha, and tawassul, because one of the things that they don't get is that at the base level, these things are merely permissible. They make it try to seem like that the whole entire ummah is at the graves every day, right? They try to make it like when you go to the grave, you're making wudu and you sitting there making your attention, and you go Allahu Akbar and you reciting over the grave, and then you make it taslim and you doing it tashahhud and all. That's not what's happening. No Muslim does that, right? And so because of they distorted the meaning of these terms, it's been problematic. And some of the things that we have in authentic hadith that the Sahabas did, according to them, is shirk. Seeking blessings from relics. These are things that the companions did through the hair, through sweat, subhanAllah, and inshallah we'll continue more, but I'll leave it there. I'll leave it to Imam Naeem, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلدين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How y'all doing out there? Alhamdulillah. We'd like to welcome you to another of our weekly gatherings, our weekly cookouts called the Black Imams Roundtable, where we come together, discuss, politic, ponder over, discuss, argue issues that are relevant to us. Alhamdulillah. These last week and today, and most likely next week, was inspired by a brother, may Allah guide him and not break his back, Amin, who made a video attacking Imam Amin Muhammad, someone that he knows personally, lives in the same city, is close friends with his son. Made a video, all on the videos, attacking Ahlul Sunnah, calling us all types of Sufi, grave worshiping, and all that type of stuff. And so we took this as a teaching moment. We get the opportunity to teach, to use the points that he raised to educate our people. But before I get into my introduction, my brief introduction, I just have a question, and I really need y'all to answer this because, I got gray hair in my beard. I'm getting kind of old. Maybe things are a little bit different now, and I'm not hip to it. But when I was coming up, it doesn't matter what level or what part of society you were a part of, whether you was in the streets or you was in the business or whatever you did, whether it was positive or negative. When I was coming up, it was not a good character trait to be with your crew, the people who agree with you, and talk trash about someone else. And then when you saw that person in real life, in person, that you didn't keep that same energy. When I was coming up, if you displayed that type of character trait, your own people would get on you. Like, hold on. Sometimes they would even be like, yo, say what you said when we was alone, when he wasn't here, right? We wouldn't let you get away with nothing like that. So is it different now? That's my question to you all. Is it in some aspects of society, is that different now? Like somebody can do that and then still be considered an upright person or a brave person or someone standing on business? I need y'all to answer that question for me, because there's a lot of that going on. Or is it just praiseworthy amongst the Wahhabis? We're going to make videos about you. We're going to mention you by name. We're going to talk about you. But when we see you physically, we don't have nothing to say. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Absolutely not. That breaks. Okay, y'all are answering me. I'm getting mixed answers. I don't know, because this we live in some weird times, This is some weird time. Maybe this stuff may be good nowadays. But in our Muslim community, we see that amongst the Wahhabis. They talk with all that bass and that robotic kalam that they got when they are amongst themselves. But when they're asked to talk to people who don't agree with them, who don't mind talking with them, they don't have nothing to say. Is that stuff, those of you who used to be in the Wahhabi movement who are here, right? Is that stuff accepted amongst them? I need to know. Because we're not even talking about like street stuff, fighting and stuff. We talking about having a conversation, trying to clarify. Because if we're that important for you to talk about us in the first place, it should be just as important to talk to us about the issue. If we were important to bring up, make all types of videos, cut and paste, and doing all that kind of stuff, then surely it should be just as important to talk to those people who you're talking about. So I guess y'all kind of answered me. Another thing before I mention my small point and get out of here is, you know, people like to throw around terms now, right? People throw around narcissism, and so now everybody's a narcissist. Now everybody learned that word a few years ago, so now everybody's a narcissist, right? Another term that everybody using now is gaslighting. So I looked it up. We are around a bunch of gaslighters. You know, gaslighting is when someone tries to manipulate you mentally and makes you question your own perception of reality. We're surrounded by people like that. With the Wahhabis and those who agree with them, even if they don't think that they're Wahhabis, right? Those who creed their belief system, its major points is derived from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, right? It's okay for them to say they're orphaned, they're committing shirk, they're committing bid'ah, they're grave worshipers. And then when people like us stand up and challenge those points, they say, whoa, you're causing division. That's gaslighting. So when they were saying what they were saying, right, that wasn't division. But when we want to address the issue, right, we're causing division. And if you listen to these people, you'll be like, man, am I causing division? Did I start this? Right? Like, hold on, wait a minute. You have to be mentally strong. And I'm talking to our family here because they talk so loud. Even the people who claim to agree with us. That's why I made that video. It's really like a glorified rant, right? That stuff bothers me. People that agree with you and say, yeah, I agree with y'all, but maybe you shouldn't do it like this, or maybe you should just teach. We are teaching. You just don't never bring your notebook. You always bring your popcorn, but you never bring your notebook. That's why you think there's no teaching going on, because you don't never take notes. You're just there for the entertainment value. You don't ever pay attention. Your ability to recall information that was given to you is non-existent. You just like that there was some type of drama going on. So they make you question your own perception of reality. Man, these people said we mushriks, we worship graves. They call us out in our name in their videos and copy and paste us. And I addressed it, but I'm the one starting causing division and not them. Okay, right? And they do this, and this is normal amongst them. We're just talking about one particular incident. But anybody who's been around knows that this is normal for them. Any major city where they exist, 95% of the time, if all of the masjids in the area collaborate or have some type of majlis or whatever, almost all of the masjids are going to be a part of it except them. And most of the cities around the country, they don't mix with everyone else. But when we address it, we're causing division. They're not causing division. We're causing division. Got a lot of gaslighters amongst us. So, but one thing that I want to mention, this book that I have right here in front of me, The Essential Islamic Creed, written by this blessed author, Sheikh Ahmed ibn Zaini Dahlan. Shameless plug. This book can be purchased from Masjid Muhammad of Atlantic City's bookstore. Right? the reason why I hold this book up, because this book is about Aqidah, but he wrote another book because he died in 1306 in the middle of the emergence of the Wahhabiyya in the Arabian Peninsula. And so he seen them coming up. He died exactly 100 years after Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. And he wrote several books, one of which is called the Fitna to Wahhabiyya, the Wahhabi Fitna. Right? And it's just something he says in the very beginning that made me think about something that I always noticed about them. He says in the very beginning of the book that the aslu, or the origin of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, is that he's from the eastern part of Arabia, and he said he's from Bani Tamim. He's from Bani Tamim, which is interesting because in Surah Hujurat, Surah number 49, verse number 4, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna alladhina yunadunaka min wara il-hujurati aktharuhum la ya'qilun. Surah 49, verse number 4. Verily, those who call out to you from behind the apartments, most of them have no sense. The reason why this verse was sent down, because, and it's mentioned in the books of Tafsir, like Imam Baghawi mentions it on authority of Qatada. He said that Bani Tamim, their delegation came into Al-Madinah when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was taking his afternoon nap. So they didn't know which of his apartments that he was in. So they just went from behind the apartments and said, "Oh, Muhammad, come out to us," just yelling, like we do in the hood. Yo, come on out, right? They did that to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, completely inappropriate. The desert Bedouin, they don't know the proper adab. And then so they say that Allah revealed this verse. And the part of this verse that sticks out to me is Aktharuhum la ya'qilun. Most of them have no sense. They don't use their intellects. And this verse was revealed referring to Bani Tamim, the same people who Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab is descended from. And so this is one characteristic that you will find amongst his followers. They literally stop thinking. They do not think. 1 and 1 don't equal 2. In order to accept that, you have to suspend your intellect. We talk about tawassul, they have a problem with tawassul and all that kind of stuff. In the tashahud, you doing tawassul. In the tashahud. Assalamu alaikum. Ya ayyuhan nabi. Peace be upon you, O prophet. It's in the tashahud. Ya ayyuhan nabi. You calling directly to the prophet. I'm praying here in Pittsburgh. Ya ayyuhan nabi. It's shirk, as they would say. So when you examine their points, literally, a first grader in Islamic studies can dismantle this stuff. In order for you to accept that stuff, you really have to suspend your intellect. You literally have to suspend your intellect. So that's what I wanted to mention. That's my brief introduction. I'm going to pass it back to the captain so he can steer this ship. Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. Bismillah. Get him, Sheikh. He's still hitting the heavy bag. He ain't gonna come to the ring though.
What's happening? What's happening, Captain?
Yeah. None of them cats gonna come in the ring. They just hitting the heavy bag, looking tough. Yeah. Whatever. He don't want it, right? You in the ring waiting for him.
I guess this is a black thing we wouldn't understand. You guys. Imam Naeem, I need you to do a favor. I need you to take over the typing so that I can keep flow. I'm going to try to do something that I'm not good at all. That is to go extremely slow and to try to make every point. So I'm going to ask you to write so everyone else can copy and paste.
You know I'm a better typer than Imam Naeem, right?
Okay, then both of y'all type, so that way it's double.
You didn't ask me, man.
I didn't know you were a typer. I thought you was just a Camden gangster. I'm sorry.
I learned how to type in 7th grade. I can type without looking at the keys.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Okay, man. So could you please help out?
Different type of gangster went to school.
I apologize. I apologize, my brother. Now listen. Someone asked an imam among al-Wahhabiyya, but he doesn't realize he's a Wahhabi. I don't know why he doesn't realize he's a Wahhabi. So he asked a legitimate question, and I think it's a legitimate question. Can you please give me an itemized list of what is a Wahhabi? I'm summarizing his long question, but it was basically, he don't believe he's a Wahhabi, so he wanted to know what a Wahhabi is. The Imam, I don't know if he's an Imam yet. I'm assuming he's going to be Imam. The leader, our young brother that decided he wanted to refute me, I don't know if I think he's going to be the Imam. Right now, he's their head teacher in the projects in the community center. And that's fine. Everybody got to get somewhere they got to start, right? So he was like, we ain't Wahhabi, we Salafi. All right. Let's get this straight. Let me make sure we got way over 100 people here. Is everybody with me? Can you just say yes? Everybody with me? Everybody hear me? Am I clear? Just say yes, please.
Make the clarity be by them making the donation.
Inshallah, inshallah. You know, we do need bread, but here comes, hey Gareth. You better leave Faheem alone, boy. He on your hot seat.
It's going down. He called me a kafir.
Astaghfirullah.
He said anti-kafir.
He didn't mean that. He don't know Arabic. He didn't mean that.
Well, he gonna know it.
All right. Gareth Bryant, my brother. You know, I've noticed I ain't block you because I'm waiting for one day you get enough courage to come on and have a discussion. I know it's very difficult. You still licking your wounds from that last one 15 years ago, but I'm much older and I'm much nicer, so it won't be the same. You can come get it. Trust me. I won't hurt you. Not emotionally, because I know that was emotional damage, but I wouldn't do that now. So I'm your brother. I love you. Even with all this annex and all this stuff, that stuff don't bother me. Like, you know, so Gareth Bryant, you always welcome for a conversation with me. You can call me all the names you want. It ain't gonna bother me. I really want to talk to you. I do, really bad. You know, so you don't gotta go in there and put all that stuff and call me a prostitute and all. Like, I don't care about all that stuff. I really want to help you, right? Because it's unfair to us that we remain ignorant and people leave us ignorant or blissfully unaware, as my man Yasser Qadi says it, blissfully unaware. Right? So Gareth, you don't even got to go with all your stuff. You're welcome. No one's going to block you. I'm not going to get angry. And Imam Faheem can't do nothing with you behind a keyboard. So he can't get to you. So you're safe.
Yeah, it's not going to be behind no keyboard.
Right. All right. With all the jokes aside.
Go ahead, man. Because I'm
going to get to it, right? So these are legitimate questions. So please indulge me because I'm going to take my time. It's going to take time. All right. So number one, And don't get mad because, Gareth, he's all right. Good brother. He don't know how to talk. He's from the hood. He's a gangster. He only know how to cuss somebody out. You know what I mean? And alhamdulillah, he's only cursing. He's not smacking us. So, just be patient and endure his harm. All right, you good?
And please don't let him sidetrack the conversation.
Now I gotta have a little fun with him. All of us, listen, this is the Black Imams Roundtable. We engage. This is not an academic. You want academics, go to Harvard or Princeton, not the Black Imams Roundtable. We indulge, we have a little fun, and we learn. And Gareth, don't you go nowhere, because I want you to learn something. Even if you have to curse your way through it, but I want you to learn something. So don't go nowhere. All right. Because you're a Wahhabi too, you just don't know it. Right? And I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you identify yourself, right? Now, listen. When we say Wahhabi, so please put Wahhabiyya. Wahhabism, Wahhabiyya. So you can put Wahhabiyya, al-Wahhabiyya in Arabic, Wahhabism, right? Wahhabis, all of that. Let's deal with that term first. So let me speak myself, since I'm the one always Wahhabi, right? I do it. Yes, I do. There's a reason, though. I'm not just being insulting. A Wahhabi, as I understand it, as I've learned from my teachers, and I have a lot of teachers, right? I have chains of narration in almost every major Islamic center of the world, right? So I'm not speaking for myself. This is what I learned from my teachers, right? They don't say nothing but Wahhabi. My teachers, Wahhabi. You think I say Wahhabi, you're like, oh boy, right? So al-Wahhabiyya, Wahhabism, did we got an Imam name? You put it up? I mean, you typed it in? Okay. Right? So al-Wahhabiyya, al-Wahhabism, right? Or Wahhabism is the title, the name that traditional Sunni scholars in the time of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab called him and his followers. So if you study all of the writings of the scholars in Hijaz, in Sham, in Yemen, in Africa, in Egypt, now write the places. Hijaz, that's Mecca and Medina. Sham, that's Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, Yemen, Hadramaut, the southern part of Yemen, the middle part of Yemen, the northern part of Yemen, Egypt, right? And in Africa, the different countries in Africa. Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he died in the year 1206 after Hijrah. 1206 AH. 1206 AH. Keep time. So he died. Don't get angry with Gareth. Let him stay there. Let him say his stuff. It's fine. We can be patient. Like, just think if you have a baby who just scream and holler, you don't get mad. You try to calm them down, put the pacifier in their mouth, whatever. But if they keep crying, sometimes you just let them cry and be patient. So just be patient with him. All right. So 1206, that's when Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab died. So he lived from the beginning of the 12th Hijri century to the beginning of the 13th Hijri century, right? Century, excuse me. So that's his time. If you study the scholars, now you got to get a little bit, this is going to take some research. Not everybody may do it, but some of us got to do it. If you study the scholars in Sham, in Hijaz, in Yemen, in Egypt, in Africa, during the same period, you're going to find whenever they talked about Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his followers, they used the name Al-Wahhabiyya. This is undeniable. It's a historical and global fact. They describe them as Al-Wahhabiyya. Now listen to me. You will never find the scholars that didn't follow Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his followers calling them other than Al-Wahhabiyya. They had some other strong names. They were like Gareth Bryan in Arabic with their terminology for the Wahhabis. Seriously, if you read some of the stuff, when you read like manuscripts, and I have a lot of manuscripts, you read books in Arabic, how they talked about the Wahhabiyya, you yourself as a Sunni, as an Ash'ari, you be like, that's too much, right? Like some of the descriptions, you think Gareth Bryan be speaking wild? The way they talked about the Wahhabis, some people, very harsh. Wahhabiyya was the term, right? So that's not us making our own title. So I didn't make up Wahhabiyya. None of us did. It existed when they came. No one before Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his children and their followers were called Al-Wahhabiyya. Their name did not exist. Historically, that's a fact. Are y'all all following me? I want to make sure we're following me. Is what I just said clear for everyone? Right? Is it clear? Prior to the 13th century Hijrah, the beginning, and the mid-12th century Hijrah, no one was called Al-Wahhabiyya. Al-Wahhabiyya was explicitly applied to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his followers. Is that clear? So that term Al-Wahhabiyya, no one was called that. We don't have no group called Al-Wahhabiyya. This is a new group, right, that existed, and they identify Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his followers. That's all I mean when I say Wahhabi. I don't mean anything else. When I say Wahhabi, I mean you are a follower of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab or his children or their students or the students of their students or the students of their students up to this day, right? That's all I mean by that. I don't mean anything else, right? So even though I may say it with a strong tone, all I mean by that is you follow Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab or his children or their students or those who follow them. Is this clear? Make sure everybody got clear, right? Right? Is it clear? Now, this is a great thing because we got distractions. I want to see how good you can focus in and ignore the distraction while the distraction is still present. That's so you can't think. I need you to put your mind, go boom, and stay focused while distractions are happening all around you. Stay focused, right? Because some people got to learn by making noise. Let them make noise. We just want them to learn, right? Okay, so it's clear. Whenever we say Wahhabi, that's all we're talking about. So Imam Naimi, if you can put, whenever we say Wahhabi, Wahhabiyya, we are talking about the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, right? Okay. Now, so once we got that, the question is, what is the difference between Al-Wahhabiyya and As-Salaf? Okay, so we have two more. We have another term we add, As-Salaf. Al-Wahhabiyya as opposed to As-Salaf. Okay. As-Salaf versus Al-Wahhabiyya. I'm just helping out here because I want to keep terms, Imam Naim. I need your help though, because you know that you said people don't got pens, so we got to do the work, right? We got to work. This is going to be work. If we can get them just to understand, we're going a long way. As-Salaf and Al-Wahhabiyya. When did Al-Wahhabiyya exist? When did that term come about? I need everyone to put it in. Around what century? I want to make sure y'all with me. Al-Wahhabiyya existed in what time in Hijri? What time? What century? 13th century, right? Not 18th, I'm talking about Hijri. Learn to speak in Hijri terms too, so that we stay on the same. So the 13th century Hijra. He died 1206. He was born, what, around 1117, something like that, right? So the 13th and 12th Hijri centuries. That's Wahhabiyya, okay? As-Salaf, and you may hear the term As-Salaf, As-Salih, right? Right? Or they say the pious predecessors. As-Salaf are the first 3 generations after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the Salaf. So if we take the Salaf, just definitions right now, and I need y'all to stick with me for definitions, because once you learn, dealing with Wahhabis is easy when you know history. It's so easy when you know history and you know Islamic scholarship and you know chains of narration. Wahhabis' whole doctrine will be exposed in minutes. It's easy. You got to have some prerequisite knowledge, though. I'm giving you the prerequisite knowledge to identify a Wahhabi, right? So the Salaf are those who lived in the first 3 generations after the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who are the Salaf? The companions of the Prophet, the followers of the companions, and the followers of the followers. I don't want to use a bunch of Arabic terms because I want everyone to follow. So when we ever say As-Salaf, these pious predecessors, they are the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The followers of the companions, meaning their direct students, right? And the followers or the students of those followers. So you have the companions, the followers of the followers, right? Everyone got that? In Arabic, we say as-sahaba, that's the companions. At-tabi'un, that's the followers. Atba'u tabi'in, that's the followers of the followers. That's succeeding generations in terms of people. Another definition of as-Salaf, which is related to time. So I describe people. So when we're talking about just people, we're talking about the companions, the followers of the companions, and the followers of the followers. Another way to explain as-Salaf is related to time. And that's because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ related by Al-Bukhari, in which the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of people are my generation, then those who came after them, and then, or those who follow them, and then those who follow them. The word generation here, scholars understand it to mean 100 years, right? So 100 years, so the first 100, second 100, third 100. So that's 300 years. So the first 300 years would be also another understanding of the Salaf because of the hadith, right? So, because they're narrations. The Prophet ﷺ, one narration, it is related that the Prophet said, Khairun nasi qarni, thumma alladhina yalunahum, thumma alladhina yalunahum. The best of the people are my generation, then those who follow them, then those who follow them. In another narration, he said, Khairul kuruni qarni, thumma alladhina yalunahum, thumma alladhina yalunahum. The best of generations are my generation. Because of these Arabic words, you're going to have this difference in identifying who are meant by as-Salaf. Is this clear? I'm going to ask you this every time because I don't want it to pass by no one. Is it clear how we define as Salaf? I'm patient, you be patient, because I want us to understand. All of us just be patient with each other. Okay. Everyone's with me. So the Salaf, the Prophet ﷺ lived in the first Hijri century when he went to Al-Medina. That's when the Hijri calendar starts, right? The migration from Mecca to Medina, from that Medina immigration, the Hijrah, that's the year 1. So the Prophet ﷺ passed in the 10th year of Hijrah, right? So the first 100 years of Hijrah, the second 100 years of Hijrah, the third 100 years of Hijrah, so that's the year 300 AH, right? So the year 300 AH, by the widest definition we would give, ends the time of as-Salaf, based on the hadith related by Imam al-Bukhari. Y'all with me? And I'll show you all these hadiths and all these proofs. Right now, I'm just trying to make sure we are on the same page. No one is confused. No one's saying we name calling, we hating, all that nonsense. This is knowledge. Let's just define. And whenever you study, anyone who traditionally studied, and Gareth Bryant wasn't one of them. He didn't do any traditional studies, so he don't count, right? Ask him for isnad, he got a Google search, do all that stuff. He don't got nothing in his head. Zilch, not one ascended to the Prophet, not one. All right, that was a shot at you, Gareth. Come back and say, I got my Senate. Okay, produce it, please, so I can show you a bunch of Imam Amins all through your chain of narration. Right. Excuse me, I like to have fun too. You know, I play with my kids. And Gareth, Brian, Islamically in knowledge, you like my kids. I'll put my kids up against you. I don't think you'll win, right?
Hope none of your kids end up cursing you out and stuff. Find another parable, kid.
Right.
Seek refuge with Allah from kids like that.
All right, so it's clear. So now if we take Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, 13th century, 13th Hijri century, right? Right? That's Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, right? Al-Wahhabiyya. So we got the 13th century, that's Wahhabiyya, right? So we got that. As-Salaf, 4th century, 4th Hijri century. See, Imam Faheem, I can't type. Unlike
Gareth, I was about to say, why you would try? You gave the task to the Imam Naeem. What are you doing?
He ain't doing it. Imam Naeem, I don't know what he's doing.
Man, when I type on my computer, you know, it only goes to YouTube. So one of y'all gonna have to take it and put it on Facebook.
Oh, I don't see it even on YouTube.
Wow.
No, I did see some of it on YouTube.
All right, don't worry about it. We need, maybe if I go slower, they'll follow it anyway. So alhamdulillah, right? So Wahhabiyya, 13th century. As-Salaf, 4th century. So anyone after the 4th century, Hijrah, is not from the Salaf. Are we clear? So long as anybody that lived after the 4th century Hijrah is not from the Salaf. So that means anyone who lived after the year 300 or was born after the year 300 AH, he's not from the Salaf. Did y'all got that? So Wahhabiyya didn't exist until 900 years after the Salaf. Is this clear? Please, we family, we all together. There was no such thing of al-Wahhabiyya until 900 years after the Salaf. Are y'all with me? 900 years later. And according to them, for 900 years, all the Muslims were worshiping idols and graves all around the world. This stuff is silly. I have a project I'm going to share to y'all. I'm going to see if y'all accept. So 900 years. 900 years. Right? Here comes this group called Al-Wahhabiyya, that the scholars of the time, not laymen, not us, scholars of the time called them Al-Wahhabiyya. The books are clear. This is not hidden. You don't got to be a rocket science to figure this one out. That's what they called them 900 years later, right? Oh, we got that? So it is impossible that the Salaf and Al-Wahhabiyya have any real connection. That's an impossibility. Except one way. Through an unbroken chain of narrations of teacher versus teacher versus teacher, from teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher, with the same methodology. That's the only way. And we're going to prove they don't have that. So you're talking about by time, there's no connection. So a Wahhabi person, meaning a follower of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, could never come to me and talk about I follow the way of the Salaf. Unless they can prove that by way of an unbroken chain of narration that conveys the same information. Other than that, you are fabricating. Is this clear? So, as-Salaf and Al-Wahhabiyya are definitely different. Y'all got that, right? Okay. Is everybody with me so far? If you have questions, legitimate questions, you can talk about me, call me names. I don't care about that. I'm just talking about like a real question, something you don't understand. I assume you understand and you just don't like what I'm saying and you're going to curse me out. That's fine. That's okay. I won't lose no sleep about that. But long as we understand. Okay. Now, so we got as-Salaf, we got Al-Wahhabiyya. We understand who we talking about here. Now, let's move to another term, as-Salafiyya. Okay. As-Salafiyya, I want you to do your history. There was no group prior to the Wahhabiyya movement in the world called as-Salafiyya. In Islamic history, study the books, you will never find a group, a movement called as-Salafiyya prior to the time after Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That's a challenge. It's a fact. I already know the research. I know it for sure. There was no group called as-Salafiyya prior to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Listen to what I said so they don't play games with you. I didn't say the word, the adjective as-Salafiyya didn't exist and no one used it. That's not what I said. I didn't say the word Salaf didn't exist. I said there was no group called as-Salafiyya prior to, after Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Did y'all hear that clearly? Don't let them mix words up. A group, a movement of people with scholars and teachers and students and default followers called as Salafiyya. It didn't exist. No such thing. Is everyone clear with that? So for 1,000 years, there was no group on the face of the earth in any place called as Salafiyya. Nowhere. In this ummah, there was no group called as Salafiyya. Do y'all follow me? Now here's why they don't want to have really talks. Because when we set it up, okay, since you said it's not new, show me a group of people with scholars, with books, with students called as Salafiyya. Show me anywhere in Islamic history. Prior to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, show me. Now, I'm putting it out so they can refute it, right? They got time. They can Google search. They can cut and paste. Bring it. Show me. Now, listen to when I said a group. Firqa. Here's a word. They love Arabic. They're Arabic-speaking people. Firqa. They know Arabic better than us. Firqa. Or a ta'ifa. Right? Or al-hizb. They love that word. Right? Any of these terms that mean a sect, a group, a hizb, a madhab, show me anywhere. And prior to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, there was a firqatu salafiyya, a ta'ifatu salafiyya, al-hizb salafi, or al-madhhab salafi. That was a movement. Now, when do we say a group? They have teachers, they have scholars that are connected, they have students, they have books, they have a whole format like every other madhhab. Do y'all got that? Right. Right? Yes, 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 yes. Sheikh Imam Naim. That book is nice. It's my sheikh. Yes. I actually sat with him, Senate, like real teacher. Right? So y'all got me? Now listen, we're not alone. We're out in the public. So those Salafi people can produce it. You're wrong, Imam Amin. Here's the group. Here was the sheikh of the group. Here were the students of the group. Here's their books. Here's their chains of narration. Show me. Prior to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, is this point clear? Everyone understand their point? Is this confusing to anyone? Okay, y'all ready? Okay. Now, so as-Salaf and al-Wahhabiyya. As-Salafiyya came after, as a movement, as a group, came after al-Wahhabiyya. Do y'all got that? The group called in our time as-Salafiyya came after the group known as al-Wahhabiyya. This is a fact. Other than that, bring your dalil. So the group called as Salafiyya came after the group known as al-Wahhabiyya. That's a historical fact, a global fact. And listen, maybe some great researcher going to pull up something that no scholar knew about. We welcome the information. We're not blind followers. If you can produce it and show it, we will accept and we will publicly say, I am wrong. Like that guy said that I go to Tareem and prostrate to Habib Umar. I would never listen to somebody like that after that. Like if I was in his class and he said that, I'd be like, do you got proof of that? And if he said no, which is no, right? They still sit in this class and know he's a liar. A liar in religion. Maybe he tells stories, but you lying about religious matters. You are a liar about religious matters. And they still sitting in your class. If that ain't blind following, I don't know what is. You blatantly lie. They know you lying. Because some of them know me. Maybe the young ones don't. They know I don't wash. I know prostrate to them. Listen, Negro, I'm from the hood. I ain't prostrating to nobody but Allah. What are you talking about? Like, that don't even make no sense. I'm from the projects, bro. I'm not prostrating to nobody other than Allah. That's not happening. Now you can say ego and all that, pride. You're right. I ain't doing that. But you actually told someone that to make a point. Astaghfirullah. You really need to make tawbah. But that's a side point. I just can't believe someone would hear that and not ask for the dalil. we follow the dalil. If someone brings you information, you're supposed to check it. The guy said the man is prostrating to men because he's a Sufi. And you just accepted it and didn't even check it. And then after someone told you you're a liar, he's lying, he's fabricating, you're still sitting there. Something wrong with you. Okay, but let's move on. So that Salafi name came after Al-Wahhabiyya. As a movement, as a group, as a firqa, as a ta'ifa, as a hizb, as a madhab, according to the way y'all got it. Because we're on as Salafiyya. Okay, that's a group. You got sheikhs. Now let me prove my point. Y'all ready? Who are every madhab, every group has leaders. Who are the leaders of a Salafiyya? I'm going to tell you. You ready, Imam Naeem? Oh, Imam Faheem, you can type right in, right? I'm going to give them to you. And we're going to name them number. I'm going to put them numbers so you know. The main imams of Al-Wahhabiyya, the main imams in our time, from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, when Salafiyya comes, are number one, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That's number one. He's the sheikh of Al-Salafiyya. The sheikh of the Salafiyya Al-Mu'asira in our time. I'm going to prove it. Right? I'm going to prove it. So just write it down. The scholars of Salafiyya, who are they? In our time, after Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. So let's start with him. Because we're saying y'all didn't exist before Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Right? Y'all exist after. I'm going to prove it. Number one, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Who we call you, who the scholars, they name you after him, Al-Wahhabiyya, because of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, right? So that's their sheikh, right? Number two, I can name a bunch, but I'm going to only name who you know. I can name a bunch because his children are in there, but I ain't going to talk about that. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Abdullah Aziz bin Baz. Number two, Abdullah Aziz bin Baz. And there are people before Abdullah Aziz bin Baz, but that's too much for most of us. It's going to be too many names. And they don't even talk about them. But they're between Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and Abdullah Aziz bin Baz. Because Abdullah Aziz bin Baz was not the first mufti of Saudi Arabia. There was one before him. And it was a big sheikh. But most people don't know him. When we get deeper studies, we'll talk about that, right? So Abdullah Aziz bin Baz, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, that's one. Abdullah Aziz bin Baz, number two. Muhammad Saleh ibn Uthaymeen. Saleh ibn Uthaymeen. Ibn Uthaymeen, number two. Number three. Ibn Uthaymeen. Number four. Nasiruddin al-Albani. Number 5, Saleh Fawzan. Saleh al-Fawzan. Okay? Call them the Big 5. These are the Imams of as-Salafiyya. After the time of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Because my point was, they ain't exist before Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab as a group. Oh, sweat, I have to pray. Can y'all pause me right there? Let's get the 5. I have to pray. The 5 scholars, Imams of as-Salafiyya and al-Wahhabiyya. I'm getting ready to get real technical here for y'all. So let's get these 5. Let's make sure everyone got them. Write them down. The main Imams of as-Salafiyya. Say as-Salafiyya. Al-Wahhabiyya. Because they say as-Salafiyya, we're not Wahhabi. So Imam, take that al-Wahhabiyya out, put as-Salafiyya. We already defined that as-Salafiyya didn't exist until after al-Wahhabiyya. I need our people to think. Because what happens is we get names and we get frozen because most of us don't speak Arabic. And we ain't do well in school. So all these names will start giving us a headache. So we got to take our time and be precise, right? So as-Salafiyya, the main Imams of as-Salafiyya, because that's what they claim. We are as-Salafiyya. We're not Wahhabi. All right, no problem. Let me give you, once we identify the name, you can call yourself whatever you want, right? Once we know who you are, that's all that matters. And we're going to identify who you are. So, as-Salafiyya, right, which we always call al-Wahhabiyya. We'll just be technical. So you say you Salafiyya, okay, Salafiyya. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Abdulaziz bin Baz, Muhammad Saleh ibn Uthaymeen, Nasiruddin al-Albani, Saleh al-Fawzan. These are your Big 5. Everyone got there? I'm going to pause right there and let the Imams go. I'm going to go pray, and I'll be right back. I'll pick up from where I left off. But let's leave it up for a minute so they can know they can write it down. Because they're not going to be able to hide when we finish. So that guy who asked me a question, when I want to be like Gareth, I want to have fun with him, but he won't get insulted. You're supposed to be the Imam. Can't crack no jokes. He was like, give me an itemized list of a Wahhabi. I said, look in the mirror, right? Look in the mirror. You will be looking at a Wahhabi. But that's me being, we gotta get all the pressure off someone. So sometimes we're gonna tell some jokes. I'll be right back after Salat. Barakallahu bikum.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So I would like to just chime in from right there until he gets back. So I was a default Wahhabi for a few years, and not only was I a default Wahhabi, I was like in the loop,
So you was a Wahhabi. You wasn't no default. You was a Wahhabi.
Yeah, I was you would call it a crypto madkhali or something like that. But I came in with some training already, so I never. And plus, like you said, coming from the street, there are certain things when you see foolish stuff, you pick it up. I don't care who it's coming from. I after a while, I started, this is N-words, man. this is N-word stuff right there. I know that like the back of my hand, right? So before it used to be, they called them the Big 3. It was Al-Albani, Bin Baz, and Uthaymeen. And Bin Baz was a little suspect. They won't tell this part because, he was loyal to the Saudi government, right? And Al-Albani wasn't really accepted in Saudi because he used to be at odds with the scholars there who did, claim to at least be Hanbali and fiqh, And some of the training was the Wahhabi doctrine, Kitab al-Tawheed, Usul al-Thulatha, all of that stuff, and three categories of shirk. So, and then they had, but the ones this sub branch of Wahhabis that we're talking about. So it's Wahhabis, and then the Salafis, and then the ones who are the rabble rousers are the Madakhila, And so they follow a Sheikh Rabi Ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, right? But he's not in the top 3, he's not in the top 5, and because he's still alive, and because he's old, they don't refer him no more, you know. So they just kind of like dim the lights on him, you know what I'm saying? You know, they don't really refer to him no more because I think he's like in his 90s, and so during that time they used to be skeptical going back and forth between these scholars, you know, and then some of their students. And so these people who do all of this stuff, that this sub branch of Wahhabiyya or Salafiyya, they used to throw everybody off. So at one breath, they used to brag about, you know, for instance, some of Al-Albani's students was like his main students, and then when they differed with the Saudi government, they threw them off the minhaj. You know, for instance, one of those names was Salim Hilali, and the other one's name was Ali Hassan al-Halabi, right? They threw them off the minhaj, you know. And then the other one was Mukbil from who was in Yemen, you know, but he didn't really fit the bill. And Mukbil was actually one of the ones, when you read about the siege of Mecca in 1979, Mukbil was one of the ones who was on his way to be a part of that movement to overthrow to seize the Kaaba with Juhayman al-Utaybi, you know. And so there's a good book that you can read, The Siege, you know. And so some of those students, they were students of Ben Baz and Al-Albani. They used to refer to them, and then secretly they used to tell them this stuff, but then it's like they didn't want their name to be attached from them. So Ben Baz would like tell them these things about, you know, overthrowing the government or the problems that he had with the government, but he was a government employee, so he really couldn't say nothing. So he would tell them things, but basically like, but you ain't heard it from me, right? You know. And then when it got hot, where it got traced back to him, they disowned Juhayman al-Utaybi, right? And then just like all of these movements, they create splinter movements, and the splinter movements become worse than the original movements, right? And so Juhayman al-Utaybi, you know, had the Khariji kind of ISIS, you know, ideology, who was actually, I think Daniel Hakikatu mentioned this in his video, that Juhayman al-Utaybi was actually from the descendants of the Ikhwan. You all know the Ikhwan was the army or the military branch that Abdullah ibn Saud used to fight against the Ottoman Empire. But then when they found out he was becoming more political and aligning himself with the British and taking their money, and it was no more about deen, it was about just connections, right? Then they started to, you know, have pause with him, and it was an uprising. You know, he wasn't taking care of them well, had them fighting, you know, and then they was like really, you know, what they call it, a mutiny. And so he suppressed the army that really fought for him, that got him in the position that he was in, right? And so, you know, they don't forget that kind of stuff. And Juhayman al-Utaybi came years later and started another uprising, you know. And then when you read his story, some of his teachers was Ben Baz and Al-Albani and other ones, right? And you all know the story about the siege of Mecca. It was in 1979 where they took over the Kaaba, right? And so these are things that even some of these people, they don't refer to. And this is one thing, and you can ask any of these Wahhabis, what happened to the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia? Did any of you ever hear anything about him? Ever since Ben Baz, do you even know who he is? And why are they all blind? All of them since the first one, they all been blind. I think the first one was I think it was Ibrahim Ali Sheikh, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is that the name, Imam Naeem?
I don't know.
Yeah. And so all of them since the establishment of that state, they were all blind, right? And so they differed about the kind of ones. And then, you know, and then Sheikh Uthaymeen, who also said a statement that even refused them because he was like one of the more moderate ones. And he had a statement that he said, you should know the difference between the way of the Salaf and Salafiyya. He said a statement like this: you should know the difference between the way of the Salaf and Salafiyah. The same thing that we're saying. The way of the Salaf is to take from those first 3 generations and in Aqidah and Fiqh and Tasawwuf, a continuous chain in each of those sciences up until this very day. And the way of the Salaf is to take information on your own and then use it as a weapon against the Muslims. And then they say that Salafiyah and Islam are interchangeable, and now they either just say Salafiyah. So you hear some of them say that come from this group, he left Salafiyah. So they saying that if Islam and Salafiyah is the same, if you left Salafiyah is like you denounce Islam. You hear how dangerous that is? So to denounce Islam is to disavow La ilaha illallah, to say that you no longer believe in Allah, or you don't believe in the Prophet ﷺ, or you don't believe that Salat is an obligation on you anymore, or you don't believe that the halal and haram apply to you, things that would take you outside of Islam. They're saying if you leave Salafiyah, or if you leave this interpretation of these few scholars, these top 5, and their limited interpretation that's part of the Hanbali school that they pick and choose from, if you lose that kind of method, if you leave that kind of methodology, you are no longer Salafi, and if Salafi and Islam is interchangeable, you are no longer Muslim. So hence, it's easy for them to make implicit takfir of you. All right. So I was just holding you down till you got back, And I'm going to offer, inshallah.
One quick thing before Imam Amin gets on. A lot of you, especially on YouTube, it seems like most of our trolls, or even though we know all of you are not trolls, but it seems like most of our trolls be on YouTube. And those of you, even if you have questions or and you are serious about wanting your question answered, you have to understand, even though we like to have fun and it's slightly entertaining, there's some of us here that are really trying to learn. And we have topics that we are discussing. So when you just log on, see us, and you ask your question, which is not directly about what we're talking about, we may not answer your question until the end, or maybe not at all, right? So you just come in asking a question about this or that. We're not talking about that right now. And we're trying to really communicate with our people, the ones who are really here trying to learn. So if you keep typing the same question over and over and over again, they're not answering me. They're not answering me. We're not talking about what you're asking. When you're in the middle of a thought and you're trying to make sure everyone understands, we're not just going to break and answer your one-off question. And so some of you are being ignored purposely because you're really being disruptive. And if it's relevant, we'll get to it at the end, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan.
Yeah, I want to say something seriously, right? And Imam Naeem, may Allah reward you. I've been doing this teaching for over 30-something years. I know I look young and you're nice, but I ain't really as young as I look. I spent most of my life seeking the knowledge of the religion, majority of my life. I've been teaching for over 30 years with students. I know this Wahhabi stuff, this Salafi stuff, like the back of my hand. See, I like to have fun. Are you Habashi? I am Amriki. I am Amriki, not Habashi. Amriki. You know what I mean? Oh, it's good when it's Habashi, but it ain't good when it's Wahhabi, right? You know what I mean? I am Amriki, not Habashi. I am Amriki. I'm just having fun. Arabic jokes, right? Okay. I'll hold your thoughts, Habib. Just hold on. Imam name, wasn't that funny? That was good. Wahhabi? No, I am Enrique. Okay, I'm sorry. You got to know Arabic to understand the joke here, the sense of humor. And you got to understand what the question is, a loaded question. So I know I've been experienced. I'm not a rookie. It was a loaded question, so I gave a loaded answer to a loaded question. Y'all ever see, what's that coming to the America? Say, damn, he good, damn, he good. I'm just having fun because it's getting late. But all right, relax. It's not that tense. Education's supposed to be fun too. So we put up the big five, right? Okay. And why did we mention the big five? Because no Salafi, quote unquote. Now listen. So whenever Amin Muhammad say Salafi, he means Wahhabi with a new name. All right. Let me tell you a story so y'all can get where I'm at. You know, we wasn't always Imam Amin, right? I wasn't always Imam Amin. In my past life, sometimes I switch names to deceive the government from who I was. And I did it more than once. Why? Because I didn't want them to know who I was. For purposes, doing things that I didn't want to get caught. So I changed my name. And when they found that name out, I changed my name again. And I'll tell you a story, funny. When they caught up with me, I was in the university with some guys that we had beef with in the street. And this is so funny, right? So they didn't know who I was. They had me by my what Imam name? What's that called?
Government name?
No. They had me locked up under the
Alias?
So they didn't know who I was because it had been the time. When I got in the county, they put me with dudes we were beefing with in the street. I said, listen, if one of y'all tell these police my name, y'all gonna live, y'all gonna regret it big time. Because I was hoping that they didn't know my real name and I could get out, right? And I did it before, it worked, right? This time it didn't work. But why am I telling that story? That's what the Wahhabis did. When they got identified as Wahhabiyya, they said Salafiyya. Now, when the Salafiyya started be getting a bad name, Athariyya. Now the Athariyya got a name, Hanabila. They're switching names. It's the same person. Do y'all follow what I mean, the analogy? Did y'all follow me? So just as I was switching names because I didn't want to get caught, that's what the Wahhabiyya do. Wahhabiyya. You know who that is? Salafiyya. You know who that is? Athariyya. You know who that is? Hanabila. Once that get identified, they're going to come up with another name. That's how it works. Right? Do y'all follow?
You might have to silence this guy, man. He's chasing people off of YouTube. We keep asking the same question over and over and over and over and over and over again.
I'm ignoring them. They got to learn how to concentrate. He's learning. He's hearing something. If we throw him out, he ain't going to hear. Just don't pay him no attention. It's fine. They learning. Listen, man, people have to learn in different environments. They need to hear. I don't want him to be Wahhabi. Maybe he's asking to think if I'm in his crew. No, I'm not in your crew, right? All right. So, listen. All right, Habib, chill. I'm going to answer all your questions so they don't leave. You get frustrated. Don't worry. I'm going to answer your questions. I don't run. Only Wahhabis do that. I don't run. I'm available. Don't worry. I got you covered. I got all your Habashi, Sheikh Abdullah, Harari, Habashi questions. I got all that, but we ain't talking about that right now. So chill out. All right? I got you covered. No one's going to duck. Right? Just relax. All right, now let me get back to my point. Right? So these 5, there is no Salafi who's going to deny all 5 of them. Do y'all got that? There is no Wahhabi that's going to deny all 5 of them. Listen to what I said. These are the big 5. Don't worry about it, Habib. You good. So those 5, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Abdul Aziz bin Baz, Muhammad Salih ibn Uthaymeen, Nasiruddin al-Albani, Salih Fawzan, no Salafi, no Wahhabi, no Athari, who's a real Athari, who's not. When I say no Athari, I haven't met one yet who's going to deny them, and no Hanbali that I know that's going to negate all of them. Do y'all got that? Do y'all hear what I said? I don't know no Salafi, and I've met a lot of them, learned, unlearned, scholar, layman, no Wahhabi, no Athari, no Hanbali who denies all those 5. Do y'all follow me? Do y'all follow me? Is that clear? So, for all intents and purposes, these Salafiyya and Wahhabiyya have the same teachers, the same sheikhs. So if you're not Wahhabi, the Wahhabiyya people have the same sheikhs. The Salafi people have the same sheikhs. The Athari people have the same sheikhs. Those Hanabila that claim to be have the same sheikhs. So from having the same sheikhs, that tells me that y'all share something in common, right? Okay, so we got that. These are the irrefutable facts. If they say no, okay, well, bring your proof. Now, every other modern sheikh that they have, we're going to move them. Y'all ready? So this is their big team. Now, all of these are past. Every one of them, except Salih Fawzan, is the only one still alive. The rest of them died, right? So the only one left is number 5. Now, if you study every sheikh that they point to, they are followers of those sheikhs. Do y'all got that? Every sheikh that they're going to mention today, all of them are followers of these 5. Like we follow in Aqidah, Imam Ash'ari and Imam Maturidi. Like in fiqh, we follow Imam Abu Hanifa, or Imam Malik, or Imam Shafi, or Imam Ahmed. And like in Tasawwuf, we follow Imam Junaid, or Imam Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jailani, or Sheikh Ahmed al-Rifai, or Sheikh Abul Hassan al-Shadili, and so forth. And so, like we have our teachers in Aqidah, in fiqh, in Tasawwuf. These are our leaders. These are the leaders of the Wahhabiyya and the so-called Salafiyya. Do y'all got that? Is this clear? This is not a debate. This is a discussion. This is clear, no doubt about it. Right? I'm giving you parallels so you can follow. Now, any sheikh you see today, no matter who he mentioned, that they follow, all follow these 5, right? So let's move so you can show some sheikhs. Some of them have passed and some of them are still alive, but I'm going to just give you the most influential that is here in America that we're affected with, right? So today, and the young brother, the one who told all those lies about me and made the videos and act like he graduate from University of Medina and blah, 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 whatever, right? They follow basically the ones who's causing all the trouble. They follow two people. Hold on 1 second.
How everybody feeling out there? Y'all ready to go another hour? The Q&A, if you have one now, brother, you can just post a question and we'll put it in our chat. And if it's, we'll get it. We'll get to it, inshallah. I mean, if it's a question relevant to the topic we're discussing, or, we'll definitely address it, inshallah ta'ala.
I'm sorry, I said it's going to take time, right? So they follow two sheikhs. Number one, he's dead, so I'm going to put him first. All of the hardcore Salafis that we face that follow, like as a sheikh, and this is who they listen to, this is where they get their marching orders from. When they come back to America with their stuff, they only following basically two people. One's dead and one's still alive, and he may have died. He's old. I really don't know. I think he's still alive, but he's very old, right? The first one is Muqbil. So number one, Muqbil ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i. That's one, yes. And number two, Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali. Okay. Any Salafi now, we're talking about Salafiyya, in our country, in America, that's making noise and bothering people, throwing people off the minhaj, they come from two camps. Muqbil ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i and Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali. Muqbil is Yemeni. He's a Yemeni person. He died. So when you see all these guys going to Yemen, those Salafis, that's where they go, to his camp, right? So you got that group. And then you got the group of Rabi' al-Madkhali, who's in Saudi Arabia, right? So these are two camps among the Salafiyya that we deal with. I'm not saying because they got scholars in Egypt, they got other, but these two are considered the official people after Nasruddin al-Albani. Do y'all follow me? Do y'all follow me? Is everybody clear with me? So whenever we're dealing with somebody that's coming to us, especially those hardcore so-called Salafi people, they're either following one of them. That's where they're getting their stuff from. And this is after the death of Nasruddin al-Albani. So Al-Albani, who was in that number 4 in the big 5 we put, because we put him in time, number 4. Al-Albani, right, was the only among them of the big 5 who was in Saudi. Al-Albani was the only one who was in Saudi. So most of these people who say they follow the Sunnah were all followers of Nasruddin al-Albani. You're going to have a political and a religious split here. I'm going to explain it to you. But this is a lot of information. So I'm trying to take it slow because it's a lot. Once you get the names, once you get the concepts, then they could throw a million names at you. It don't make a difference. You just broke all this stuff down, right? Right? So whenever you talk to a Salafi, he's going to either be in our time, in our area, he's going to be following one of them. And if he goes somewhere else, you're going to be able to trace his route back to those big 5. Is this clear? So you got the big 5 and the 2 from those big 5. Do y'all got it? That's what we're dealing with today. That's as Salafiyya. Is everybody with me? Just say clear, we with you, Imam. And Gareth, you can say we with you. I'm with you. Is it clear? Any questions about what we're talking about? If you're confused, please don't go all over the place. That's later. Just make sure what we're talking about you got. You know, some of you, man, this is the time for me to load up on my questions. I've been waiting to find somebody with some guts. Now I'm going to give everything. Later, bro, later. We're dealing with work. We're taking care of the issue right now. Now, all of this information, the Salafi people can come challenge it. The Wahhabi people can come challenge it. If it's wrong, correct it. And we're open for that dialogue. We stand to be corrected. Right? Okay. Now, how many of you have ever heard he got kicked off the minhaj? How many of you heard that statement?
Heard it.
Off the minhaj.
Heard
it. Heard it. You got kicked off the minhaj.
I got dirt slammed on the ground.
So some of y'all got kicked off the minhaj. Some of y'all got kicked off. Listen, we having real talk, right? Okay. What that means, I was Salafi and I disagreed with the principles laid down by one of those and they kicked me off the minhaj. That's all that means, right? So the chief kicker off the minhaj is Rabi ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, who is their sheikh. So for respect, so you disrespect the sheikh, the scholars. Okay. Sheikh Rabi ibn Hadi al-Madkhali. Dr. Rabi ibn Hadi al-Madkhali. Okay, fine. You can have it, right? He's the main one to kick all these brothers off the minhaj. Everyone who got kicked off the minhaj was kicked off by him through his students who snitched on them, went back to Sheikh Rabia. Sheikh Rabia said, you either say this, or you out of here. He's the one.
He was the overseas connect the plug.
He's the plug.
Off the minhaj
You out of here. Do y'all got that? So whenever you see, listen, this is important. Whenever you see somebody talking about I'm not Salafi no more, and they still got all these Wahhabi creeds and beliefs and stuff, that's because Sheikh Rabia kicked them off the minhaj. And if it wasn't Sheikh Rabia, it was one of his close associates who died. And you can add him number 3. His name is Ubaid al-Jabiri. Right? So either Rabia kicked you off or Ubaid al-Jabiri kicked you off. One of them. Muqbil was in the Yemen, and we could talk about his story later. And there was a reason why he was in Yemen, right? But that's another story. All of these is their whole deen go through them. That's their sheikhs. Right? So whenever you see somebody talking about I'm not Salafi no more, that means I don't follow Rabia's orders no more, and or Ubaid. I had a fight with them, and we didn't agree with them, and who are they to tell us what to do, and blah, 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 blah. This is facts. Right? So everybody you see saying that, no, that's why they got kicked off the minhaj. So forget all of these brothers you see in America, all of these, I studied in Medina, all of them follow them. So we can skip you right off from the line. We ain't got to talk about you no more. You take orders from them. That's it. Is this clear? Your whole understanding of Quran and Sunnah, how to understand it, how to interpret it, is by them. Are y'all following me? Habib, relax, relax. I'm not going to answer that question right now, so people don't get distracted. If you Sunni and Ash'ari, relax. Just relax. Just keep listening. Have some patience. If you want to learn knowledge, Tulu Zeman, a long time. You got to take your time. Relax. Relax. Calm down. We got you. Just relax. I got you covered. Hopefully, they're not going to kill us till later, right? So we got time, right? So is this clear for everyone? And all right. Now, is this overload or y'all can handle more? Or we should stop here and continue next week? Can y'all handle more or is it overload? Or is it too much to retain? I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to educate you. If it's too much, say, this is enough for right now. We'll continue next week. Gareth, mashallah, you made it for 2 hours. I am so proud of you, son. May Allah reward you. Look, Gareth hung in there for 2 hours, Ak. What kind of sabr he has? Sabr and hilm. Maybe, I'm telling you, he might be among the pious.
He's a good kid.
Yes. Okay, now, so we got the sheikhs. We know they're sheikhs. If they want to deny, then let them deny all of those. We listed the sheikhs. This is their Senate. That's their chain of narration, right? So we know the people. We know their methodology. The Wahhabis have the same thing, and the Salafis have that. So these Authority people, most of them are former Wahhabis. So they changed their name because they don't want to be affiliated with certain things, but they're carrying the same ideas. So now let's go to the idea. We got the people. We identified the people. Now, what are those people teaching? The knowledge they're teaching. Let's talk about the most important issue is the issue of al-Aqidah. Now, if y'all will allow me to have a little fun, because this gets taxing, let me tell you the story of Gareth Bryant, my beloved brother. You ready, Bryant? So they got to have context to understand why he's so angry with me. When I was a little bit younger and he was a little bit younger, I used to teach in New York. And he came to my class and he was full of fire, young buck. See, I was young too, so I didn't recognize potential. So Gareth came to my class. He sat in my class. He'd been studying some Wahhabi books, some Salafi books, sitting in some Salafi classes, young brother. He's like, yeah, we're gonna get it. Go do the deviants. He don't know me. He started his questions in the middle of my class. I said, bro, relax. I'll answer your questions, but not now. He kept going. He was doing like a Habib joint, but this was live, face to face, interrupting the class. I said, listen, you're not like you think. Stop. He kept going and kept going and kept going. I said, okay. I stopped the class and I addressed him. And I was younger, so I ain't have, my manners was in the basement. I addressed him so firmly, he was just shrinking in his seat, right? He's never forgot that yet. And I apologize, Gareth. I was young too. I should have understood you're a new person, you just learning, you following this group that you know nothing about, and you was full of energy. And I embarrassed you and I didn't mean it. Please, and I honestly, please accept my apology because I was young too. You gotta remember, I was a young man, I was older than you, but young. And it's embarrassing to get refuted in front of all those people who thought you had some knowledge. I apologize, seriously. I mean that from the bottom of my heart because you ain't let it go. And that was at least 14, 15 years ago, 13 years ago. I apologize. I let that go. It ain't that deep. I mean, yeah, I wasn't the one that got refuted. So I guess I can say that. I didn't mean what it resulted to. Honestly, I didn't. And if I have another chance to talk to you, it would be different. I would guide you. I wouldn't refute you. Seriously. So I know you hurt, but you can get over it. So now you understand the context. And then when you get to know a person, you realize that he always been sunned, and that hurts. A guy who never was the man, and now he got some knowledge, he become the man. This is inner city politics. It hurt. I apologize. I swear I do. I mean it. And if you ever get over it, my door is always open for you. Seriously, since you're here, I want you to know that. My door is always open for you. I don't care what you say, because I really, 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 really would like to make that up for you, because it's more than knowledge, especially as I got to know you about your life story. I understand the pain. So I'm down with you, Ak. I'm with you. So we're going to be in New York. You could come visit me and we can make up. Right? We can make up. And I'll take you out and I'll buy the time and you can get you know, you can get it off. It's all good. That's why I can take your abuse, because I know how you feel and I understand the hurt. But listen, the fact that you stuck around for 2 hours, that tells me you got good in you, right? You sticking around. Even if you got to stomp your feet while you're doing it, you still here. May Allah reward you. And since you're talking to Noor, right? Noor study with me, Noor live with me, Noor knows me very well. You can tell him and tell you, Imam Amin not like that. Imam Amin hard, but he ain't like that. He really love his people. And I count you.
Now you did all that. Look what he posts, man.
That's fine. He's hurt.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, but let me move on.
You speaking for yourself though. Here.
Right.
Not all three of us.
Right now. I am from Atlantic City. I'm not from Camden. We are cut from
I'm from Camden.
You know, it's Atlantic peoples. We Atlantic City guys. We kind of soft. You know, them Camden dudes. La ilaha illallah. Guard your grill, knuckle up. Right. Stop. But don't worry. We got you, brother. You're going to be like, you know, you're going to come. All right, let me move on. I'm just messing with him. I got to take a break. Right.
Is that a commercial break?
Yeah, that was a commercial break. And really, it was a sincere apology to my brother. I was young, seriously, man. You know, you see me now, you can't imagine how I was when I was in my 30s and early 40s. Being an imam helped me a lot, because you got to deal with people and you got to deal with real stuff. You calm down. When I was young, I was like, you know, you get a new gun and you don't know what to do with it. Like, pow, 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 pow. That was me, right? I walking up to dudes, face shots. I didn't care. I'm older now, and I ain't on that, right? I swear I can't wait to give you a hug, Gareth. And I don't even say pause. I just want to hold you. You know, they say give him a hug. Give him a hug. You know,
me too. I can't wait.
All right, let me move on.
Hold up. Imam Faheem is a super coward. You ain't just a coward. You a super coward.
Yeah, Gareth is in the mob. His name is Anthony Corleone. Mafioso. Forget about it.
I don't think we should go to New York, yo.
Yeah.
It's dangerous out the streets.
The 5 families up there.
But it's all good. Okay, let me move on. Right? So now, what's the curriculum? So we're talking Aqidah. Now listen, here's where you're going to have to understand Wahhabiyya, Salafiyya, and now they're later Athariyya, Hanabila. Listen, when I'm talking about the Hanabila, I'm not talking about people like Noor, Sheikh Noor, right? Because he ain't listening to none of those 5 that I talked about. So that I'm not talking about real Hanabila. I'm not talking about them. That's a whole nother discussion, right? So don't mix them. And Noor, stop letting these Wahhabis hang out with you, thinking you're going to win them over. It ain't going to work. You got to be honest to them. And I know you got your approach, like, and I'm speaking to Sheikh Noor. And I'm speaking to Dr. Shadi. Since we want to be, I understand your point, but these people are using y'all to spread their misguidance and say y'all approve, and y'all know y'all don't approve. So stop. Even if you're working with them, tell them the truth, right? Because no, they think because you Hanbali, you Wahhabi or Salafi or Athari, and you're not. And you know you're not. So don't let them use you. That's me to you. Yeah, me to you. Right? And Dr. Shadi, the same thing for you. Because when you're having these people on your platform and you're not clear, which I know you are not accepting that stuff, but a lot of people don't know that. They're being legitimized and they're using y'all platforms to take a legitimate stance. Stop them. Just like we talk and explain, you don't got to say it like me. I got the point. But don't let people think these people ain't who they are, right? And so we're just being honest, because it's a lot of games being played and innocent people are being hurt. It's that all this politics, this stuff don't work, right? And I say it out of cold love, right? And some people don't like it, but hey, I don't like you keep letting this nonsense spread, faking jacks, right? So we all equal. All of us got something we don't like, right? Because a lot of this stuff could be cleared up quicker if many of us would just be straight. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to have enmity, but be clear and be explicit and be straight. That don't mean you got to be mean. All right. Now, let's go to curriculum. So we got Aqidah, Fiqh, Tasawwuf as primary sciences. And we can add Hadith as a secondary science. So when we talk about Wahhabi, Salafi, as opposed to Al-Asha'ira, Al-Maturidiyya, and Al-Fudala min al-Hanabila, right? Since we want to add the Hanbalis in there, we're not talking about them. We're talking about these fake Hanbalis who are really Wahhabi, and they're just using the name and still holding on to Wahhabi beliefs. That's what we're talking about. Let's be explicit, right? Let's go to books. So let's take the biggest issue of differences between Al-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya, and Al-Wahhabiyya, Salafiyya, Al-Athariyya, all these new name changes. What's the difference? The major difference is in the field of Al-Aqidah, belief. That is the most important difference in the issue of belief. There is also issues of difference in in fiqh and in tasawwuf. But the major difference, the most significant and important difference is in aqidah. Do y'all understand that? Right? Istighatha is not the issue that we want to talk about. So don't deviate. Aqidah, y'all got it? Could everyone write the word al-aqidah? Sheikh Hamza, the grandson of Al-Albani, just entered the masjid. Allahu Akbar! We are doing major work here. I'm sorry, I'm just a slow typer. So that's the major difference, Aqidah, right? Everything else is secondary. The issue of Aqidah is first. And we can't fix this issue. Somebody has to change. This is something we're never going to be able to fix. It's going to be right or wrong. Is this clear for everyone? This issue is the issue. Those other issues, we can get around them. The issue of Aqidah, we can't get around. There's no way around this issue. You have to deal with it. It has to be clarified. Right? So in Aqidah, Al-Asha'ira wal-Maturidiyya and the Fudala from the Hanabila, those virtuous Hanbalis, differ completely from the Wahhabi, Salafi, Athari, and these modern day Hanabila. Right? Do y'all got it? Now, this issue is the issue. What books do they teach? I'm talking about Al-Wahhabiyya and so-called Salafiyya, because the Athariyya, Hanabila stuff, you got to really pay attention because this is a new movement and they switching up the game a lot. So let's go to the Wahhabiyya and Salafiyya that the sheikh's going to call you to. If you learn Aqidah from them, pay attention. There's going to be a certain books that you're going to have to learn in their curriculum. Y'all ready? The first book, Imam Naim or Faheem, whoever's in there, can y'all hit me up? Kitab al-Tawheed by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That's the first, among the first books that they're going to push you to. It don't have to be in order, right? The next book they're going to push you to is Thalathatul Usul. So that's one. Put it number one. Thalathatul Usul, number two. These are all books by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Right? So they're going to tell you to read Kitab al-Tawheed, Thalathatul Usul. Imam Naim, are you putting this up?
I thought Imam Faheem was.
Everybody dry snitch. I thought the audience was putting it up. You want it on Facebook or YouTube, or do it matter?
Put it on Facebook, and that way I can just plug it in.
All right. Thalathatul Usul, right?
Yeah. Kitab al-Tawheed, Thalathatul Usul, Kashfu Shubuhat. Right? So those three books, and there are more, all these books, they're a series of books of Muhammad ibn Abdullah, but for the point, those two, Kitab al-Tawheed, Thalathatul Usul, or Al-Usul al-Thalatha, however they want to reword the word and switch it around, by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Those books are foundational books. Whether you Salafi, Wahhabi, you got to read those books. And they're the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Right? That's the first level. If you ain't learned those books, you're not official in their school. No Sunni, Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanbali is reading those books to learn their Aqidah. Not one. Do y'all got that? Not one is going to do that. Boy, I do Gareth Brooks is he's really really hard. So there's no way you can move to a next level unless you read those books, right? And then every sheikh from after Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab up to the modern day are explaining those books. So when they go learn, the books are all explained by them. That's the first level. So by agreement, every real Salafi is going to study the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. So at the end of the day, whether you call yourself Salafi, you're still going to be following the methodology and the creed that was promoted by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Is this clear for everyone? Do y'all got it? Do y'all got it? Because if you got it, you're going to ask legitimate questions, right? So you say, I'm not Wahhabi. Okay, you study the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, right? So you call you whatever you want to go, but this is what you study. Well, let's get an agreement here. Now, if you're saying, no, we don't accept his books, then we got another discussion. But if you're reading those books, these are the books your sheikhs are explaining. This is what we're talking about. That's it. Right? The next level, in their hardcore curriculum is going to be Al-Aqidatul Wasitiyah by Ibn Taymiyyah. That's the next level. After you do those little books, the Muhammad ibn Abdul, because they got to program you first. So you're going to get the Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab books, Kitab al-Tawheed, Thalathatul Usul, Kashf al-Shubuhat, Nawaqid al-Islam, Al-Qawaid al-Arba'a, all the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That's going to be the first level. That's what they're going to indoctrinate you with. Then the next level, you're going to, if you pass that, you're going to go to Al-Aqidah al-Wasitiyah by Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah. That's the next level. Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah. You know the only thing, like, sometimes it tripped me out when I hear these, like this question. Like listen to this question. Like, this is an obvious, either you don't know, you really didn't study. That's what we call default Wahhabi. You don't even know what you're doing, right? This is not something to be challenged. It's not. Your scholars say it explicitly. Listen, I don't just talk. I'm going to take you step by step, and I'm going to show you. You're going to refute your whole doctrine if you keep that up. Seriously. I'm a researcher. This is what I do for a living. Bro, I'm not making this stuff up. Listen, bro, I got all your books. I'm not the one to do that with. I'm not an ignoramus. I research. I got your sheikhs. I got your books. I'm ready. I'm not making it up. I got your books. I got your chains and narrations. I got your stuff. I know who you are. You can't hide from me. I'm ready. Why you think that young boy don't step on this, that one who graduated from Medina? Why you think he ain't step out here? He know me. I'm ready. We're ready. We've been well trained. This is what we do. We're not running. So you must don't know Wahhabism. You must don't know Salafiyah. That's your problem, right? We're ready. We're ready. We ain't even start. We just We just opened the car door. We ain't even got sitting in the seat. We ain't put the key in the engine. We ain't turned it on. We ain't put it in drive. And we ain't even get on the regular road, let alone the highway. We got a long way to go. Trust me. But such a question is like, then you don't know your own minhaj. So what we talking about? Go find your religion, as they tell us. Go find your minhaj. Right? Somebody got to do this dirty work. And it's really dirty work, right? Somebody got to do it, though. Somebody got to clean the streets. Everybody can't just chill. Somebody got to go in there and clean the streets. Somebody got to do it. He said, I'm Salafi to the core. And I'm Salafi to the core, and he asking me about a curriculum he's supposed to know. That's why y'all keep getting kicked off the minhaj. Y'all like, damn dummies can't even follow instructions, right? Salafi to the core. And he don't even know the basic books of Salafiyya. You can't make this stuff up, right? You can't
shake him with this bid'ah. Produce your proof.
It's not funny, but it's just like, come on, man, you can't make it up. But anyway, hey, let me apologize to my teacher. I got a call from one of my teachers. A message from them. We live in a different world. You know, we're dealing with different stuff. This ain't like when we was with our teachers and in different, this is a whole different environment, whole different world. La ilaha illallah. Whole different world.
In the words of Prop Yusuf, we're dealing with some burdensome ninjas.
Got a hard job, Bak. Right.
And do we do, ya ikhwan, yani.
See. All right, I'm trying to stay focused. I just blocked the comments. Okay, so that's the first level. Then you're going to go to the books of Ibn Taymiyyah, right? So Ibn Taymiyyah, his books are going to be after you finish Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, then you're going to go to Ibn Taymiyyah. Now they're going to go back. So they're going to have Al-Aqeedah al-Wasatiyah, right? And that's going to be the basic book. And there's other books of Ibn Taymiyyah, but we don't need to go just so I don't get too much. And then they're going to go to the books of Ibn Taymiyyah. In between Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and Ibn Taymiyyah, if they want to act like they Salafi, they may follow their own commentaries on the Creed, Al-Aqidah at-Tahawiyah, which is by Ibn Abi al-Iz al-Hanafi, right? That's the only book they're going to really use. And if they got other commentaries, it's by modern day teachers from those other teachers. So it's all one step, right? All right. So that's the reality. So let's stop there. We really over time, so I have to stop. You got to wait till next week. Next week, I'm going to show you the books. I'm going to show you the stuff. I'm going to put out the scholars. And listen, this ain't a debate. Everything I said, forget the jokes, because you know it's us. We listen. I want to share something to you, because I get in trouble a lot, especially from my family. They like, be shake, right? It's called the Black Imams Roundtable. That was intentional. We're trying to hit a people who've been devastated by this stuff. We're trying to help our community that's been devastated by these ideas, right? And unfortunately, no one has come to us who really understood these matters and stuck it in there and dealt with all that we got to deal with to make sure we learn. That hasn't been. Most of us who learned went somewhere else, learned from someone else, and ended up staying there and never came back and deal with this stuff in the inner city, in the hood, amongst us. That's our plight. So for us, we different, we cut different. So don't expect us to pretend we like, I'm not the sheikh. I have teachers, I'm not like them. I don't come from where they come from. I don't have the same problems they have. I don't deal with the stuff they deal with. They don't deal with the stuff. We share proper belief, love, respect, honor. But in terms of the realities of our lives, totally different, right? My teachers don't deal with what I deal with, right? It's a whole different world. My teachers don't even deal with Salafis, period, at all. There's no Wahhabis, no Salafis. They don't even deal with that stuff, right? They don't. Us, that is on the ground, and it's been on the ground and ain't going nowhere. That's what we got to deal with, right? This reality, like it or not, you got to deal with it, right? So we got a different type of spirit, and I hope you appreciate that we're not coming looking down on you like, oh, I studied, I'm the big man, I got ijazahs, I graduated from this university. Man, I'm just like you. I just learned some stuff you didn't learn. That's it. And I'm going to share it with you, and I want you to learn. Right? That's it. And all of us are the same. And we in your service all the time, on the ground, right? No fronting, no airs, none of that. So because of that, we're not going to have some fake form. You're not going to hear me talking about Ya'ni like I don't speak English. I'm not going to do that. Ya'ni, the kalam of the brother, come on, Negro, get yourself together. You don't talk like that. I know you went over there, you think, you black. Your family is from the projects. Joker's in the hood. What are you talking about? The brother in the kalam. Uh-oh, here comes the sheikh of the sheikhs. We got another hour. Maulana. Wait a minute. I got to have some fun. Abdullah. He was a hardcore Salafi. You a rookie. He was from Darul Hijra of the Salafis in America.
You hear me, Imam?
Muawiyah's like, Imam, why are you trying to get me in trouble? We just having fun. Yeah, everybody know it's all love. It's mad love. Only the one who don't know we got mad love is the one who's been so brainwashed, so programmed that they forgot who they are. Right? Seriously.
Ya akhi, Muawiyah, na'am, we hear you. Yani.
Speak your kalam, Ak. I'm finished.
Barakallahu fikum. Barakallahu fikum. Barakallahu fikum. Barakallahu fikum.
I need you to realize these affairs. I've heard some Negro talk about the affairs. What?
Ainam.
Yeah, akhi, Muawiyah, na'am. Break us off with some ilm and things of these matters.
I'm not qualified to speak of the likes of these affairs.
See, this is the black stuff. We just having fun. But let's get straight, because some people, they don't like, see, why don't you act like a sheikh? I am not a sheikh. What do you want from me? I love real sheikhs. I'm not one of them.
I have a question real quick.
Go ahead, give us some kalam from the Akabir, please. All right.
Bismillah.
Of the ulama of the mamlaka, ya akhi. Please.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidina rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alim al-hakim wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. I just have a question real quick for I'm not even supposed to be on the round table tonight. I told the Imam that I wasn't going to come on.
ما شاء الله كان وما لم يشأ لم يكن.
This is true. Wa la hawla wa la
It was meant for you to be here, Habibi.
But I just have a question for the brother Abdullah. I'm very confused. He's saying that the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and other than him of the Saudi scholars, these are not the books that are essential to the Salafi curriculum, or that these books don't define Salafiyya. Okay, Tayyib, I want the brother. Can you please define to us then what are the books that must be studied? What are the books that defined Salafiyya? What are the most important texts and treaties to be studied for one that wants to learn the aqeedah of the Salaf al-Salih properly, the Quran and the Sunnah upon the fahm of the Salaf al-Salih? What books are these? Who are the scholars? Who is your authority? Because you're telling somebody produce dalil, bring dalil over and over and over and over again. Akhi, no, Habibi, it's not about one sheikh determining Salafiyya. We're saying that this understanding that you took, it comes from a specific man, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, his books, and the students that he produced. And the proof of this is that every single one of the major Salafi scholars, barring maybe Al-Albani, has an unbroken chain of transmission back to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab's understanding of Aqeedah, of Ashirk and Tawheed, etc. So how can you say that these books aren't essential? And in fact, Imam Amin, he can witness to it. I just showed him a video a couple of days ago. It's a video of Sheikh Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi'i, the Sheikh from Dammaj, where one of the students asks him, what is the most important book to be studied in purifying one's aqeedah from shirk and establishing tawheed? And what did he say, Imam Amin? You're muted. You're muted.
The books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. What did he say?
Fath al-Majid.
And his students, wait a minute. He mentioned Fath al-Majid by the grandsons. Fath al-Majid, which is a commentary on Kitab al-Tawheed. And he mentioned
Taysir Aziz al-Hamid.
Taysir Aziz al-Hamid. We ready for you. You can't lie to us. So when you start making it up, we're going to open up the books on you. You saying they don't believe that, we're going to open up the books.
And wallah, listen, and this is very simple.
This is what he said. The commentaries on Kitab al-Tawheed from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. We're waiting for you.
And Tayyib, khalas, if you want them in English or you want them in Arabic, this is very, very simple. And I dare you.
He can't read Arabic? What, he said he can't read Arabic?
I don't know if the brother can read Arabic or not, or if he understands Arabic or not. But even if he doesn't, all of this is available in English and with English translation. It's no problem.
These books are available in English?
No, not the books. I'm just talking about the point.
Oh.
Search up any major Salafi scholar of the 5 that Imam Amin mentioned or others than them, and look up what they say are the most important books to study in Aqeedah. What are the most important books to study in establishing Tawheed, in removing shirk and superstition and all of the other things that they accuse the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah or any Muslim that's other than them of? What are the first books that they tell anyone to study? The books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. This is available. Just open up YouTube and you can search it. There's no need. I know reading is hard for people. People don't like to read books and they're allergic to books and everything like that. Fine, open YouTube. This is very simple. Stop playing games. It's very, very simple.
And guess what? That's why I was saying that when I was telling the brother Abdul Samir, listen, all we got to do is open the books. You read your own books.
I think the brother Abdullah, he's asking for the video that you said that you let Imam Amin listen to.
Oh, don't worry. You can DM if the brother wants. He can DM me. Marhaba. I have no problem. Everyone knows my Facebook. It's public. You can send me a DM, and I'll send you the video.
You stop using all those big Arabic terms we don't know nothing about. You know we Juhal. We are
I
unlearned.
apologize. Yani, barakallahu fikum.
What does marhaba mean?
Welcome. No problem.
Oh, okay. MashaAllah. No, y'all, you know, that we got to get it. Okay, so MashaAllah. All right, Muawid, you got some parting advice? We got to close out.
Oh no, I have no problem.
Does anyone have any real legitimate questions that are not just complaints? Because Amin Muhammad, are you Habashi? Habib, am I Habashi? Depends who you ask. If you ask those who you consider Habashi, they're going to tell you no. There may be someone who say no. I don't know. Did I study through a route of Sheikh Abdullah al-Harari? Yes, I did. I studied with close chains of narration with him, and my sheikhs around the world have studied and relate through his route as well. So, am I Habashi? I guess you would say I am. And if you ask me, I would tell you they are Ash'ari, they are Shafi'i, and they are Rifa'i. And all of those things I agree with. So there's your answer. I don't run, I don't hide. Because you know why? I honestly believe, this is my personal belief, you can take it or leave it. If it weren't for that movement, many of us would be afraid of Wahhabis, like many of us are. But because of that man, that African man, that great scholar, he gave courage to people who otherwise would have been nervous. And I would admit, I would not be with the force I have if I didn't study through that route. I wouldn't. That would be a fabrication. I would be telling you a lie. And I studied in various places, but the spirit you see about Aqidah and being firm, definitely I got through that route. Now, did I learn more and understand things differently from other shuyukh around the world? Yes. But I would be a liar if I told you that the soundness and the firmness that I got in being Ash'ari and being Sunni and having Aqidah as-Sahiha, I would be a liar if I told you that he didn't play a major role in shaping my desire to understand the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. I would be a liar. And just because there may be things that people don't like about him, I'm not going to make up lies. That would be a lie. And I wish that many of our Sunni scholars were lions like him. That's my feeling. You can take it or leave it. I'm just telling you about me. I wish we had more lions like him. Rahimahullah ta'ala, rahmatan wasiya. Was he perfect? No. But what he did, especially in our communities, he made lions. I appreciate that. No doubt.
Nah, Imam, that's too nuanced, man. You got black or white, all or nothing.
No, just to add to what Imam said, because I see the brother Habib going off in the comment section. Habibi, no one is saying that we agree 100% with every single position that Sheikh Abdullah al-Harari held, or that his students, the Jami'at al-Mashari' teach. But we're talking about a good thing, a good element that one can take from them. No person or no organization or no group is 100% good, and nor are they 100% bad. So take that which is of benefit. And what is of benefit, Imam Amin mentioned a forcefulness in refuting the Wahhabis. They place importance upon learning the creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and those other issues that we believe that they are incorrect in, or we believe that they got wrong, then we leave those issues and we follow the Jumhur of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We follow the majority of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in that. And besides that, khalas. And for the brother Khabib, we are all of the issues that you're mentioning, everyone on this platform is well aware of them. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about that one thing, that point of benefit.
And listen, I'll give one statement I heard from Sheikh Aisha Prime. I think it was one of the most beautiful statements I ever heard in my life. And this is how you should apply it, Habib. Human beings, every human being, except Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially in our time, is a combination of virtue and vice. We got good stuff and bad stuff. Every single one of us. Because you got bad stuff, that doesn't mean I'm going to deny your good stuff. And because you got good stuff, doesn't mean I'm going to forget your bad stuff. I'm going to take the good wherever I find it that's connected to this deen, and I'm going to apply it in my life. Right? So you could go all on and on and on and on about the Habashis. I could go on and on about the Wahhabis and Salafis and whatever. For us as African Americans, we can't afford to get caught up in none of that. We have to learn our religion. That's us. So I'm saying to you, your issue, all those things, you could go on and on and on. You ain't saying nothing we don't know. The thing we worrying about is saving our people. That's it. And by extension, we want to teach other people. We want to benefit other people. But our number one priority is to save our own people who are drowning from all of this stuff. And if you've been following me along, I'll make no apology for that. Right? Because you can pick us apart in different stages of our growth and development. Right? So all that stuff don't mean anything to us. You can't put us in a box because we don't fit in one. We never did. So if you want to put us in a box, it ain't going to work. We're always going to upset you. We ain't in no box. Our box is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by the way of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah and the consensus of this Muslim nation. As for all these side things, we ain't getting distracted by that. So if you want to fight the Habashis, they're not going to back down, trust me. So you can go have that fight with them. We're not the ones to have that fight. Do you got that? If you want to fight with the Habashis, they like to fight. Don't worry, they'll wait for you. They're not going to run. So go ahead. Well, Muawiyah might disagree with that. But so that's not our fight. You got it? That's not our fight. All right. So we finished?
Nah, it was, you was, listen, man. You with him or not, man? All that you said requires me to think, and thinking, I don't do that. You got to tell me, you with him or not? Black or white? You know,
the brother Khabib, he's not satisfied. But khalas, I'll answer him.
What can we do? He got to go.
No, listen, but I'll answer him.
Joking, right? A lot of us are like that.
Muawiyah.
He asked the question. No, I want to answer the question though. He asked the question.
Muawiyah, let me help you. You can do what you want, but let me help you. Right? You can do what you want, but go ahead. This is not prison. You know what I mean? And we ain't Whartons. The Habashis, right? They have a whole organization with hundreds of sheikhs, thousands of followers, with a program, with a protocol, and me, you, Imam Naeem, Imam Faheem are not in it. Why are you going to fight someone else's battle? They're capable. They have all the resources to answer Habib's questions. Habib can go ask them. Why are you picking up something that doesn't belong to us? That's our problem as black folks. It has nothing to do with us. Right? He can go. The Habashi's got way more money, way more platform, way more scholars, institutions all around the world. Go ask them. They're not going to hide. Go ask them.
No, but khalas, but in the interest.
Go ahead. I'm just giving you.
No,
that
I understand, but in the interest of clarity.
Go ahead. Go clarify.
You
told us. You can say this is Imam Muawiyah.
No, I'm talking but I'm saying we can speak about every person, even on this roundtable, from what I know of them. Everyone on this platform believes and teaches that all of the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are righteous. Imam Amin Muhammad is my teacher. I can testify to that. And we do not speak ill of any of the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah. Every single person on this platform believes that the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, and especially the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is completely ma'soom min al-khata. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not commit any sin, whether minor sins or major sins. And this is what every single person on this platform teaches, alhamdulillah. So if you have any other problems or anything like that, ask the question and it will be answered. But again, just like Imam Amin was saying and Imam Na'im was saying, you have to use your brain and use a little bit of nuance. Praising a good aspect of a person, a good aspect of an organization, does not mean that we agree with this organization 100%, or we take on every single one of their teachings or every single one of their beliefs or their positions. It's very simple and it's very clear. Barakallahu
fikum. Khabib, since you said that's good, clear, and all that, won't you drop some bread? Since
now we talking.
You got your approval, why don't you drop some bread? I don't know what language you're speaking, but maybe you don't know what bread is.
Hey, check your message.
Money.
Come on, man. You're a UFC champion. Drop some bread.
For lose. Cash.
All right, we got to close out, man. We went long. Hey, listen. Seriously. I hope that everyone are patient with this journey. It's a long journey. And most people ain't going to do what we're doing. So be patient with us, right? We're not perfect. We're out. When you're out here, you out. You in the middle of this ocean and sharks all over the place. But some people are drowning. We got to jump in the water, even if we ain't excellent swimmers, because we got to save our community, right?
Hey, put the link so they can donate. Khabib has asked for the account number. Put the link up there. He has to pay double. He asked a lot of questions. He got a lot of attention tonight. You have to pay more.
He's checking my Aqidah. I'm a Sunni. Habib, I'm a Sunni. Hardcore Sunni. And trust me, I have a real Sunni curriculum, Sunni everything, Sunni teachers, Sunni chains of transmission. I'm a Sunni. But let me tell you, Habib, I'm an African American, and that means something to me. It may not mean something to some people, but to me, that means a whole lot.
Sheikh, you know I might get in trouble for what I said tonight. Right?
Yeah, I tried to save you, but you wanted to have a janazah. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna do some takbirat too. I tried to save you. Don't say I didn't try. All right, so since you're here, we done. I gotta close out. I'm in trouble. Muawiyah, can you close us out in dua, inshallah, Sayyidi? May Allah reward you because you stepping out in these shark infested waters, you're gonna get in trouble, and we got you. We with you though. Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward you.
Didn't I go to the store last time?
You're a young buck. You gotta go to the store all the time.
That was the last time, man. We smack you upside the head and send you to the store and bring my change back.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب يا رب العالمين يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه يا رب العالمين Oh Allah, we ask you for the good in this world and the good in the hereafter, and that we are saved from the hellfire, Ya Rabbil Alameen. We ask you, Ya Allah, to keep our hearts firm upon this religion of Al-Islam, firm upon obedience to you and obedience to your Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, firmness upon your book and the Sunnah of your Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, and firmness upon the Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Ya Rabbil Alameen, and practicing it, adhering to it, and spreading it to the people, Ya Rabbil Alameen. We ask you, Ya Allah, to show us the truth to be the truth and to allow us to follow it, and show us evil and falsehood to be falsehood, and allow us to stay away from it, Ya Rabbil Alameen. And we ask you this, Ya Allah, by all of your blessed names and your noble attributes, and by the status of your Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, bi sir asrar al-Fatiha. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم
Allahu Akbar. We'll see y'all inshallah next week, and we'll continue. And we're going to have Imam Faheem have some PowerPoints for us so that we can put all this in PowerPoint form so it's much easier for y'all to grasp. So Imam Faheem, if you can take the points that we had in those things and put them in PowerPoints, please, for next week. And I'll send you some more things to add so we can do a nice PowerPoint presentation for those who need visual.
Inshallah. Ya'ani, barakallahu feek. Hey, now.
Because we need to take care of these affairs.
And the lights will be.